Welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. Here are your hosts, Mitch and Ant.
Right, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. My name is Mitch Burns. I'm here with Ant. How's it going, Ant?
Great, Mitch. I think this is episode 29.
29, thank you, yes. Actually, oh my gosh, I never told you the
close.
funny story, but I'll just start here. Movies we are reviewing this episode. We've got The Last Voyage of the Demeter, Jules, The Passenger, Cobweb, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Did you see that one?
I haven't yet.
No? Okay. And then Ant has seen Theater Camp, The PodGeneration, and OldBoy. So we can finally talk about OldBoy because I watched it at home, but you just saw it in theaters, which is really cool. This shows how much my parents listen to the show. My dad said the other day, when you were away, he said, "Oh, like, are you recording tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but Curtis, my friend Curtis, is coming down. He's going to record with me." And he's like, "Oh, why?" And I'm like, "'Cause Aunt is away." And my dad says, "Curtis's aunt is away?" And I'm like, "No." My co-host Ant that I've done like 20 something episodes with, and he's like, "Oh yeah, right." So,
But what did he mean by Curtis's aunt who's away?
Because Kurt was the one who like came and filled in for you, and he was coming down, and I said, what he asked me why Kurt was coming down to record, and I said Ant is away. And he was like, "Wait, Curtis's aunt is away, so Curtis is coming down? I don't get it." He was like so confused. So
that's funny.
Anyway, so that was just a funny story for podcast business. But the real podcast business is check out our YouTube channel. I have put up all of the film vaulters that I have recorded. I have them all on YouTube, as well as I will be putting up all of our episodes. I have like 3 or 4 of them up now, and like this one will be up like as soon as the podcast is up. So if you're listening to this, you can now watch us on YouTube. I will make sure I'm more steady about putting them on there, and they're going to be a little. What's that?
What's the URL for that one?
That's a good question, but it'll be in the show notes. But it is the Hollywood Persona.
The Hollywood Persona. Okay.
Yeah. So,
and I want to publicly shame myself here. This is something I said I would do. I still haven't done it. One of these days I will get around and doing it. But thank you for doing that. It's something we should be doing, and I failed to do it when I said I would.
But it's so much easier for me because I have the big file on my computer, and then for me to have to send that to you, and what he might do is like we might start to like edit them down so they're like on the YouTube shorts, and then people could like if they just wanted to see our Meg 2 review or whatever, right? But still we'll figure it out. And you have news?
Yeah, I have some news. This is just side news, kind of business news. So as you guys may remember, I just recently moved back to Atlanta, and I just started working at a theater nearby here as a part-time gig, just like I was doing in Chicago. So I still have a full-time job, but I want to be, near the movies, in the theaters, talking to the crowds. So I went to this dine-in theater that's like a mile from here and asked if they would let me work there just 2 nights a week, and they said they would. And so now I get free food and free movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I've always wanted to just work like one night at a theater, so just so I can get free movies.
This is so pathetic. The state of Georgia still only pays servers $2.13 before tips.
What?
So if you're a server and you don't get any tips, or your tips are shit, you're making $2.13 an hour.
Wow.
It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. I mean, like in Canada, like I think it's now servers now make minimum wage, which is oh Oh
Probably
fuck.
12, 15.
Yeah, it's like $12.50 or something in Canada. So they make the same as anybody else minimum. Oh no, it's $14 in Canada. Minimum wage.
When I worked at a movie theater in Illinois, they would pay us something like 14, 15 an hour, and then we would also get tips,
Yeah. Yeah.
which seemed more reasonable. But yeah, 213. It's like, oh, no wonder people
See,
can't afford houses around here.
yeah, and I hope everybody in like Georgia and places like that know that, because in Canada, like it used to be kind of that way. Like people would make like $7 or $8 an hour and then tips. But and that's the way it used to be, but now it's different. So people tip accordingly, right? Because and I hope people in Georgia are aware, right? Of
Yes, and actually, so to give this theater some credit that I work for, they automatically include 20% or 18% gratuity on every check.
Okay, so that's good. Here,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna open
that
this.
way,
Sorry.
if you have a bad patron who doesn't want to tip for whatever reason, it's already
Yeah.
included on their bill, which kind of sucks as a patron. Like, I don't really like that. But if I'm going somewhere and the people working there are making $2 an hour, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes it's nice when it's included because then you don't really think about
Yes.
it as much.
Yep.
But in here in Canada, most places, if your table is like if you have over 6 people, then that's when it's included, right? It's
Same.
like
Yep.
immediately like 18% or something. So, um, let's move into movie news. So I've got some really big news, like which has been making the rounds lately. A lot of scandals, kind of. Mike O'Her or Mike O'Hare, I don't know how to say his name, also known as Big Mike, the subject of the movie The Blind Side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has come out against the Tuohys, I think. It's
I think you're right.
Tuohys. Yeah,
Yep.
Tuohys. The family played in the movie by Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw. After finding out that he wasn't actually adopted, it turns out that according to Michael, Sean and Leanne Toohey only made him sign guardianship papers in order to have legal rights over his winnings, and he is now taking them to court. Mike says he has made nothing from the movie, and there's a bunch more to this story. I'm not going to get into it crazy, but like just before we were coming on here, I saw that the writer of the book that The Blind Side is based on is basically come out in support of the Tuohys. Like, so it's such a like who
Yeah.
we don't know who to believe kind of thing.
Yeah. Let me give my thoughts on this. So
Yeah.
I really need to read the article because I
Mhm.
haven't, and that's I shouldn't comment on this unless I've read the article. But
Mhm.
I think you're right. It is a pretty gray area, and I think I heard the Tuohys make a quote saying, "We love Michael. We still love him.
Mhm.
This wasn't for money, And I think they talked about, they didn't make millions and millions. They made a little
Yeah.
bit. I think he definitely should have been a part of that money earning. But my question is, and maybe they answer it, why is this coming out now? Because wasn't this controversy sparked when the movie came out? I remember chatter about that when
He
it was
is
going through its
he's been
Oscar.
kind of vocal, like, oh, as the years have gone on, he's been a little bit vocal about it, more and more.
Hmm.
So I don't know if maybe he's going through money troubles and he's like now, or I don't know if he still plays NFL. But it's a little kind of weird that it's all coming out now and he's taking them to court. But I definitely think it has something to do with the money situation. Like, apparently, though, he said like something that he doesn't understand why they're only they apparently they were really rich. As you know, in the movie they were pretty rich. They have a big house and all that, and he's like, I don't understand why they would come after me for like just a few $1,000s, that they would get when they had millions. And I mean, well, if they only got like a few $1,000s, I mean, that is also probably the cost of raising you and having you in their house and feeding you and stuff, right? I don't know.
Yeah. You make a good point. Yeah, I know.
So,
Like, maybe there's no winners or losers in this thing.
mhm.
It's it's unfortunate. The movie's still great. I still really love that
Yeah,
movie, whether it's
yeah,
true or not. I mean, kind of like Green Book. A lot of people had
hmm
strong feelings about Green Book. That movie affected me emotionally when I saw
Me
it,
too.
so I still
Me
love that
too.
movie.
Yeah, I love that movie too. I didn't really get the backlash, and um, man, there was another movie like that recently. It was one of the biopics. I don't think it was Elvis, but
Bohemian Rhapsody?
yeah, like there was everybody was like, "Well, this didn't happen, and it didn't happen this way," and it was kind of like, "Well, it was still fun. It was
Yeah,
still a good movie."
still made
So
an entertaining movie, yeah.
yeah. And then other controversy that has come out: Bradley Cooper is playing composer Leonard Bernstein in an upcoming Netflix film. A teaser trailer has dropped, and it has drawn criticism because Cooper is wearing a prosthetic nose in the film. Uh, but Bernstein's children have defended the choice, and I'm going to read what they posted on Twitter. In a series of posts on X, I guess, the Bernstein's three children, Jamie, Alexander, and Nina Bernstein, said that Cooper had consulted with them along every step of his amazing journey. It breaks our heart to see any misrepresentations or misunderstandings of his efforts, they said of Cooper. It happens to be true that Leonard Bernstein had a nice big nose. Bradley chose to use makeup to amplify his resemblance, and we're perfectly fine with that. We're also certain that our dad would have been fine with it as well. They added, any strident complaints around this issue strike us above all as disingenuous attempts to bring a successful person down a notch. And
Thank you.
Bernstein died in the year 1990. So, anyways, it was the author. It really started because of the author of the book that this movie is based on has kind of come out saying that, like, Cooper's taking away roles from a Jewish person and then putting on this fake nose. And I mean, we've had actors playing different. That's what they do. They act. They are acting as
Yes.
someone else.
I'm so
And
glad we agree on this one, Mitch.
yeah,
Because
like,
to me, this reads as stuff that happens on Twitter that doesn't matter in the real world.
yeah.
Um, the family supported it. The guy had a big nose. He's acting. It's
Hmm.
not anti-Semitic. He's not
Hmm.
making fun of him. It's not
Hmm.
black. It's not like it's blackface, which is different.
Yeah.
Um, I have no patience for this kind of crap because
Yeah.
I think it's just people getting riled up over nothing.
Yeah.
Um, like like
I,
like the family said, it was totally respectful and
yep.
they're happy with the portrayal. If the guy had a big beer belly, Cooper would be wearing a big beer belly.
Well, now people are even like fat suits are like out, right? I
Exactly right.
mean,
The whale got all this criticism
yes, the
because
whale. Thank
it
you. I
took
was,
took away from a fat actor. I
yeah.
I don't have time for that. Acting is
No,
acting.
me neither.
Even Scarlett Johansson doing that, normally
I,
Asian character, fine.
yeah,
It's
it
an
was an
American
a,
movie,
yeah, I
right?
agree. I do agree.
And even back to who runs the Daily Planet in Spider-Man?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, played by Morpheus.
Oh,
Apparently, that was a white guy in the comics forever.
okay.
I didn't
Wait,
know that.
in the Daily Planet.
Right? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Oh, sorry. No, I
Superman.
said
Sorry,
J. Jonah
Superman.
Jameson from Spider-Man, Superman. Yes, yeah, he was a black guy in the most recent Superman movies. You're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. And I,
Yeah.
I actually just recently learned that some
Mm,
people were like, "Oh, you can't make this guy black." I had no idea. The character works just fine.
yeah. Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
I agree. I
And
100%
and
agree.
and one last thing is you look at India. The country of India makes more movies per year than North America. Don't know if
Hmm.
you know that, but they do.
I
Um,
didn't.
they have basically zero white people in those movies.
Hmm.
They're made in India. What do you expect? So,
Yeah, exactly.
but
I love in RRR how oh, he just passed away, Ray something, but he was like the villain, right? And he was the white guy.
yes, yes.
That was kind of funny, like one of the biggest Indian movies of the last like 20 years, and the bad guy's a white guy,
Yep,
right? Or
which
a
is
white,
fine. Like that was
yeah,
great.
whatever. A little update on the strike. SAG-AFTRA has given over 200 indie projects agreements to keep working during the strike. And I've said before, these agreements basically they had to agree to everything that the strike was demanding.
Right.
And these projects that wanted to keep working, they said, "Yep, that's great." And but That is no longer. SAG will not allow that anymore
No
because
way.
the projects that were um, given the agreements are allowed to continue shooting, but no more new projects are allowed to continue because they feel like it's hurting too much, and they like a lot of people see it as it kind of undermining the strike in a way.
I guess it makes sense. These were probably stuff that was already in motion when the strike happened.
A lot of it, yeah. Or
Yeah.
they're like really small projects that were like just about to start and don't have the money to stall, right?
Yep.
Um yeah, so anyways, that's
Yeah,
kind of been
I saw this as a good thing because initially
me too.
I read this story and I'm like, oh damn, they're making movies. Like, aren't the strikes going to be pissed? But their response is,
Yeah.
see big studios, it's easy to be done.
Yeah.
A24 is able to follow these rules.
100%. But I also do understand why SAG is stopping it because now they have over 200 projects. You got to figure that's a lot of actors and writers like who
Hell
are
yeah.
going back to work and not on the picket line. And it puts those actors and writers in an awkward position. I know that they have been given permission to cross the picket line, but it's also like I'm not out there with
With
my
my comrades, yeah.
it's almost like if I'm a custodian, we're in a union. It's almost like if I was given permission to go work, but everybody else like was striking or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
think you're right.
but anyways, so uh, we're the director of the movie Sound of Freedom has given us some insight into why he thinks Disney shelved the movie, and I love to hear this because like that has been
Shelved
a
the movie.
well, okay,
Oh, Sound of Freedom. Sorry, I thought you said Sound of
yeah.
Metal.
Oh, yeah. So like 6 years ago, whatever, they had Sound of Freedom. They were gonna release it, and
Yeah,
then
2018, I think it was done.
yeah, and then Disney sold the movie or whatever. And this has been a talking point from a lot of people saying like, "Oh, see Disney, you go woke, you go broke," blah blah. But the director has come out and said this quote: "I think what happened was the following. When Disney bought Fox, imagine." All the content that there was to go through. I think we got lost in the translation. We were a little movie. Also, we were with Fox International, which is even a step farther from domestic Fox. So I just think that when the merge happened, our film got lost. I don't think it was intentional to be like, oh, we don't want anyone to see you. I just think it was the nature of when one company gets bought. And then COVID happened, and everybody thought that after COVID, people wanted to see movies that are very happy and heavy,
That's true.
and not heavy, sorry. So our film started to get more on the shelf because people, the minute they heard what the film was about, I don't even think they were considering it because of the heaviness. And
That's a totally logical explanation to me.
100%. And I'm so glad he said that because I think you even said that, or I have something here about, yeah, Sound of Freedom has now made something
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
175 million, something like that.
Yeah,
I'll
so
mention it during the box office.
okay, so the guy Jordan Peterson, who the movie is based on, he's come out like against Disney today saying like, oh, like, see Disney, you go woke, you go broke. And then it's so funny that the director kind of came out and said this. And it's smart
But
because the
but
director
what
wants to
is
keep working in Hollywood.
but what does that mean in context of this movie, Go Woke, Go Broke? This movie's made a ton of money, and it has nothing to do with that quote woke stuff,
Yeah,
right?
I just think it's like, see, you gave up our movie kind of
Ah,
thing.
okay, okay.
And look how much money you could have made off our little movie if you had just, stuck with it. But Disney wasn't the only one who passed on the movie.
No,
Um,
yeah, it was a 20th Century Fox movie to begin with,
mhm.
right? I mean, yeah,
So, anyways, I'm really glad the director came out and said that
yeah,
because
me too, me too. I want to just say I had no problem with the movie. I
me
saw it
neither.
before I heard anything. Period. At the end, and
Yeah.
I thought it was fine and sad and a topic that I'm glad is being told.
I,
But so many people want this to be like their cause, and any little thing that goes against the movie, they immediately jump to, oh, see, that's because this, and this.
See, so this is what he wrote. I had it in my phone here. He said on X, formerly Twitter, uh, isn't that something? Oh, because they reached 100 million. Isn't that something? Are you paying attention at Disney? It's highly unlikely you are. That's what he kind of wrote and then tagged Disney. Peterson did. So, anyways,
Okay.
Zachary Levi has kind of made a laughing stock of himself after
Again.
the Shazam star recently said, quote, I personally feel like the amount of content that comes out of Hollywood
Oh
is
yeah.
garbage. They don't care enough to actually make it great for you guys. Levi said reportedly to enthusiastic applause. They don't. How many times do you watch a trailer and go, "Oh my god, that looks so cool." Then you go to the movie and it's like, "This is what I get." They know that once you've already bought the ticket and you're in the seat, they've got your money. And the only way for us to change any of it is to not go to the garbage. We have to actively not choose the garbage. It'll help. It'll help a lot. I mean, I don't think Shazam was garbage, but
No.
but I like, what
But
movies
how does he
is he
not see the
talking
irony?
about?
Yeah. How
Yeah.
does he not see the irony?
If he's not talking about those kind of movies like Shazam or Black Adam and stuff that which he was a part of this year, um, then what kind of movies is he talking about that are garbage? So it doesn't really, whatever. It just he's
Yeah, yeah.
funny.
It's just funny. You hear that and you're like, poor guy.
Yeah.
He's confused.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
because he
don't
means well, probably.
Oh yeah, I get what he's saying, and he just said this at a Comic-Con or whatever, and probably didn't expect it to get written down and
Right.
blown up. So
Right. That's how the online
yeah,
journalism goes. They pick one quote out and say, you know,
exactly.
this person hates
Um,
this.
I didn't have this written down, but this is huge news I just saw today that I've been just waiting for. I actually was looking yesterday, but Prey, Hulu's Predator movie Prey, is finally getting a Blu-ray release coming in on October 3rd, with a bunch of special features, and I am so excited because it's been over a year since the movie came out, and I love that movie, and I own the entire Alien and Predator franchise on Blu-ray, so I'm excited to add it to my
Oh, good.
collection. So, do you own many Blu-rays or anything?
So, oh man, I gotta tell you, the literal only Blu-ray I own is right next to me, and or not Blu-ray, sorry, the only DVD or Blu-ray
Yeah, yeah.
I just bought a few weeks ago,
What is that?
and it is American Psycho 2, which is awful, but I have a like serious crush on Mila Kunis and always have, and
Okay.
she does the director's commentary on this.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, I gotta buy this to hear her talk about it.
That's
Oh, but it's bad.
hilarious.
But yeah, this is literally the only one I own,
Like,
and it sucks.
is it really like that bad? Like, not worth seeing? Like, I should just.
No, it's not.
Okay.
She tries to be Patrick Bateman, but she's all of 5'4" and 140 pounds, and the people that are dying, there's just no way.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's really silly. It's a total miss. I think they did the thing where they, have another like serial killer movie, and they
Yeah.
just say, "Hey, let's use the American Psycho brand because people know
Yeah.
that," and fold your movie into it. So,
I
but
didn't even know there was an American Psycho 2, so that's hilarious.
she looks great in it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I bet she does. Um, Adam Sandler's new movie called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah will be in select theaters this weekend and then on Netflix on August 25th. It is a Netflix movie, and it is based on a book of the same name and stars Adam Sandler's two daughters and his wife, and it
Oh boy.
reunites him with his Uncut Gems co-star Idina Menzel. And I'm talking about this because there's now a trailer on YouTube, so you can go watch that. Um, but yeah, so his two daughters are getting into acting, and apparently his wife's in it as well. I and his daughters are like the stars of the movie. I don't even think Adam is the main star, so hopefully they can act well. I don't know if it's going to be a comedy, probably with the title, but
Right, right. So his last movie was in theaters for a few days, which I saw, and then
mhm.
went to Netflix, and it was actually good. Remember where he was the basketball coach?
Yeah, I really like that movie.
It was great. It was
Yeah,
really good.
I did. Hustler.
Hustle, yeah, yeah.
The
He was
Hustle, yeah.
he was the talent scout.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that was more of a drama than this looks like, but you know,
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
every now and then he delivers, and maybe his daughters are funny.
Maybe. We'll see. So Margot Robbie has apparently earned a whopping $50 million for her role in Barbie, according to Variety, with all bonuses and everything
Because
in.
she's also a producer, right?
Yeah, so she's made more than Gosling.
Good for
Um,
her.
but apparently they were both paid the same like salary, but she has made now a lot of money because of how successful the movie was. But in more Barbie news, Barbie has beat The Dark Knight to become the biggest grossing Warner Brothers film domestically. It has made over 537 million domestically, beating The Dark Knight, which made 536 million domestically. Barbie is the second highest grossing Warner Brothers movie, but is on its way to take over the top spot, which is currently held by Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And that's all domestically. Or no, sorry, that's international. That's like in
that one's
total.
worldwide. Yep.
Yeah, worldwide. So and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 made 1.34 billion not adjusted for inflation, and Barbie has made 1.2 so far. So people think that it is on its way to beating it.
So depending on where the Harry Potter was released, it's either the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone. Because in certain Middle Eastern countries or whatever, they don't want to say the Sorcerer's Stone, so they change it to the Philosopher's Stone. I thought that
I
was
think
interesting.
we had the Philosopher's Stone in Canada as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to the story. Good for her. I'm happy for her.
Oh, I know.
You know, let women have a win every now and then, and
I think
it's a good movie, so it's great.
Yeah, she's kind of just paving this way for success for herself. So it's really great.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about it. Like a lot of women's sophomore efforts when they come out big haven't been that great. Like think of Chloe Zhao.
Mm-hmm.
The Eternals was just awful, and then who did Wonder Woman?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. I mean, she did Monster, which was amazing. But
Yeah.
that was like 20 years prior. Wonder Woman 2 was just terrible. So
yeah,
I'm glad to see Robbie have some staying power.
And Greta Gerwig has just
Greta Gerwig. Yeah, that's
has just made like 3 great movies in a row, like Little Women, Lady Bird, and this. So Barbie still has to get past 1.355 billion to beat the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which is the biggest earner of 2023 so far, which I find so interesting that everyone's talking about the success of Barbie and it still hasn't even beaten Mario, which I thought it would have a while ago, but I guess Mario made a lot of money. So
man, it did. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna get there, but I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's still in a lot of theaters. It's still in like 1,400 theaters.
Still number one at the box office this last weekend. So.
Well, my last news point, then you can jump into box office. Indiana Jones will be rentable on August 29th, which I think they're hoping to make some money, as both it and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 are looking to lose around $100 million each. Mission Impossible cost about $300 million to make, plus a very large marketing budget that was reported. It has made $523 million, which is better than Indy, which cost $300 million to make plus marketing, and has only brought in $375 million. But I just wanted to discuss this because these budgets are just absurd. They're huge, and it's like they haven't learned anything from horror movies, you know, that make movies as cheap as they can and then make millions, you know.
Look at Talk to Me. Talk to Me was made for just what, 5 million, 6 million?
Yeah. And Insidious
55 or whatever. Insidious.
It's I don't know. It's these budgets are just ballooning up. Like I can't believe Indiana Jones costs as much as Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Right. And even Elemental, and I know Pixar is expensive because of what they do, but wasn't Elemental 300 million or close to it?
270 or just I don't know. Anyways, so I just they're gonna have to, really work. And I know like CGI is super expensive, but I don't know. Anyways, box office.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk about box office. So,
Yeah.
oh no, I had one little last piece of movie news, and I want to talk to you and any of our listeners about this. So, one of the movies we're going to be reviewing is The Last Voyage of Dementor. I don't know if
Hmm.
you noticed this, Mitch. Well, let me set the stage first. So,
Hmm.
the Motion Picture Association of America, the MPAA, does our stupid ratings. G, PG, PG-13, R, NC-17. The general understood rule, it's not written down, but the rule is in America, for PG-13, you're allowed one non-sexual use of the word fuck. What the fuck? Fuck you. But you
Hmm.
can't say, I want to fuck you, or he fucked her, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's arbitrary, it's weird, but that's how it goes. So,
Hmm.
you'll see a lot of these superhero movies save up their fuck for an important, like poignant moment or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
However, I noticed in this Dementor, they said fuck 3 different times and it's PG-13. So I
Hmm.
wonder if they're loosening the rules. And I would love for any listener to tell me what they think because, I definitely heard it. And yeah, it'd be cool if they're loosening the rules because that's such a stupid rule.
Are you sure Demeter is PG-13?
Oh no, I'm not. Oh, it's pretty violent. You're right.
That's what I'm just thinking now. Like
Oh, I bet
pretty,
you're right.
it's pretty violent. I would be surprised if it was. But I don't know. It's hard. I can never find the rating on anything. Where do you go
Right.
find?
I would just go to Rotten Tomatoes.
It's
No
on
big
there.
deal. Oh God, you're so right. It's R. Damn.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
there goes my theory.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well,
Well, I just like to
anyway.
prove you wrong, apparently.
No, I'm really glad you did because I'd much rather you tell me now than have 50 people say, you dumbass, it's rated R.
I just when you said PG-13, I'm like, wow, they went hard at some parts for
Yeah,
it being
yeah.
PG-13. I didn't even notice the swear words. uh,
Yeah, okay, that makes a whole lot more sense.
all
All right,
right.
so let's talk about the box office last weekend. As we mentioned, Barbie came in number 1, made another 33.8 million to bring its domestic total to 526 in only 4 weeks, which is just crazy.
Hmm.
Insane amount of money. And then Oppenheimer was number 2, as always, with 18 million, and that's got to 264 domestic in its 4th week by now, which is also great.
But
And then,
it is funny because now it's back up to 2 because it
yeah,
dropped
yeah,
down
it
for
leapfrogged.
Meg 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it is funny how these have shuffled. It's pretty impressive
Yeah.
for their 4th weeks to still be. I mean, even if a movie like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or The Last Voyage opened at Barbie's 4th week number, they would be happy,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
So the Ninja Turtles was right behind it with 15 million, and they're at 72 um, domestic for their 2nd week total, which ain't too bad. Meg 2 is 54 million for a total. They brought in 12. And then Last Voyage of Dementor, which we'll talk about, um, only made 6.5 in its 1st week, which is kind of a bummer. That really sucks. That's too low for that kind of movie. If it was an found footage horror, that wouldn't be so
Hmm.
bad. But 6.5 million is just not going to get it going anywhere.
It is funny though. I've been reading a lot of stories about Meg 2 overseas because it made $204 million internationally and only 58 million so far internationally.
Yes.
Um, so people overseas like their shark movies. And
Yeah.
this one does have a big Chinese kind of
Cast.
like some Chinese cast, right? So there is a draw there. Um,
Absolutely. The cast, the creation of the first one and this one is totally calculated in, hey, let's capitalize on this emerging
yes.
foreign market.
Yes.
Just like the later Transformers movies did. And
Yep.
I mean, I guess it kind of worked. Remember, studios get less of a cut from the international markets than they do from domestic. So say
Oh,
they
okay.
say they get 50% of ticket sales in the 1st week from our local theaters.
Yeah.
And China, of course, says no, fuck you. You get 25%.
Oh man.
But yeah, so
Well,
the Meg, and you know what? The Moon, if you remember, Moonfall tried to do something similar.
did
Remember
they?
Moonfall? Yeah,
Oh
they
yes.
had that Asian character, and they had China helping with the launch or whatever, because they
Yeah.
so wanted at least someone in China, because China has literally a
Hmm.
whole billion more people than the United States does. So
That one in Moonfall felt. I know you just watched it recently, and that one felt very um shoehorned in. Like,
definitely.
I mean, it was fine. It didn't bother me too much, but it was like okay, well, we're gonna have China basically saving the world, and it doesn't really fit overall, but
What do
um,
you think about The Martian? Because The Martian kind of had a similar thing, remember?
well, The Martian, I read the book
Me too.
actually, and it all kind of flowed with the book, right?
Yeah, that's how it was in the book. Yeah, I was gonna surprise you if you hadn't read the book. But remember, China's role was like, we could do nothing and we'd be just fine,
I
or
remember,
we can
yeah,
help do a launch and we'll look like the
yeah.
heroes. And
I
that
like.
that got to me because I love seeing partnership between nations.
I need
Especially
to
in the space
rewatch
stuff.
that movie.
It still
I
holds up.
I can't handle listening to people eat in a movie, and Matt Damon spends that whole fucking movie
Oh yeah,
crunching into the
on
camera
potatoes. Yep.
potatoes, and I think I was just very irritable when I saw it in theaters, and I was annoyed.
You're
I
right.
haven't seen
It's
it
supposed to
since.
be funny, and
I know.
the jokes about Johansson's disco music gets pretty old pretty fast.
Yeah. But it was a good book. Really, really tense book.
Yeah,
Big,
yeah.
yeah.
And apparently they're working on the author's next one called
Oh, okay.
Artemis, which
Andrew Weir.
yeah, yep,
That's the last book I actually read. Every book I've read since has been audio.
same. Exactly the same. I read
Really?
that one and everything else since has been audiobook. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
That's a funny coincidence. All right, so
So,
then the note here I have
oh yeah.
is Sound of Freedom is now $10 million more in box office earnings domestically than Mission Impossible 7 starring Tom Cruise. That is absolutely insane. Um, and really, it's a
Now
tragedy for Mission Impossible because
it
Mission
is
Impossible is so fucking good.
so
It's
good.
so good. And
Yeah.
it's just a bummer that it got swallowed up by Barbie and Oppenheimer.
And I think the other one is like basically already made at this point.
I think so. I think they filmed it. Yeah.
So I'm really glad because
Me
we're
too.
gonna at least see it.
Yep, yep. Next
Um,
summer.
whereas like Dune Part Two, you know, they were waiting on numbers to see if they were gonna make Part Two.
Yep.
Um, which was like scary because I fell in love with that movie, and
Or what about
yeah,
Fast X Part 2?
fuck that movie.
Or what about Into this Across the Spider-Verse Part 2? We've had a lot of Part 2s.
Yeah, Across the Spider Verse. See, I thought that was pretty much filmed because it was supposed to come out like 8 months after,
Right, right.
but it has now been pushed because of the strike. Um, so it's filmed pretty much too. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Anyways, movie reviews. Let's start. We've already talked a lot about it. Let's start with the last voyage of the Demeter. That I will insert the trailer here while I jump to it.
Cool. And I just pulled down the list of our movies, so
Okay.
we know what
The
we're talking about.
last voyage of the
Yeah, so set it up.
Demeter.
Tell us what it's about.
Yes, also known as Dracula Voyage of the Demeter. Oh, well, see that I think that would have been a better title. It would
Me
have
too. I
really,
did not like this title.
yeah. Anyway, so this movie is starring Corey Hawkins, Aisling Franciosi, who you would know from The Nightingale, who was so
Oh
good in The
man.
Nightingale.
Whew.
Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones. David Dastmalchian, who is almost unrecognizable here.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. And then Woody Norman plays Toby, and
The
he
stupid
was the
little kid.
young boy in Cobweb, actually.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. And he was in that black and white Joaquin Phoenix where he was very precocious.
Oh yes,
Come
oh
on, come on.
come on.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So this is an adaptation of a chapter, just one chapter in Stoker's Dracula. Um, Not Bram Stoker, sorry. Yeah, Bram Stoker's the novel. This is based on the chapter called The Captain's Log. And this is the chapter in the book where Dracula has decided to go to England, and he gets somebody to put him on this ship called the Demeter, and he is transferred over to England from Transylvania. And so I think this is a really cool idea. The screenplay is written by Bragi Shute Jr. and Zach Olquet something. And this is directed by Andre Overdahl, who directed Troll Hunter from 2010, which is a
Oh,
great
wow.
movie.
Yeah.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I like that
S-
one too.
Me too. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I like that.
Yeah, so he is a pretty good horror director who has made some great stuff.
So let me tell you the writer that you mentioned, Braggy
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
He wrote Escape Room that
Oh, I like
January.
Escape Room.
Yeah, it was fine for what it was. Samaritan, which is one of those Liam Neeson movies. The second Escape Room, and I think that's it.
Samaritan was Sylvester Stallone, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm thinking of
Yeah,
Good Samaritan. Whoops.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
sorry.
really
Sorry.
bad.
Yes.
So anyways, so I like the Dracula story. I really respond to it. I love the 1992 version directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It is
Is that with
so
Gary
good.
Oldman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is very good, and this is definitely a really. I think this is a really cool idea. Like, let's take this chapter where we only have bits and pieces of what happened written by the captain, and let's make a movie out of it. Let's embellish on what could have happened, because I don't want to get into spoilers, but we know that it we are shown at the beginning of the film that
Yeah, I had a
the
problem with that.
you had a problem with that.
They give away what's going to happen, so there was very little tension. Right?
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
yeah, no, you're right. I think they thought, oh, like everyone knows this, right? But
Right.
we
Yeah.
but we don't. I mean, especially even me. Um, it's such a small part of the book and the movie. Like, I don't remember, if everyone made it off
How
the
many
boat
people
or
make it?
or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So,
You know what it
um,
reminded me of a lot was Don't Breathe. Do you remember the movie Don't Breathe with
yes,
the blind man?
yes,
The
very
opening
good.
scene of that movie is her, the girl,
Hmm.
a heroine, being dragged through the streets, and somehow we get told, or
Okay.
or her running from the house or something. Anyway, we figure out she's the only one that makes it. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I get it to open your movie with a bang, but this one, I think in the beginning of this one, someone even reads a newspaper or
Yeah.
something, and it's like no survivors,
No
which
survivors on the
yeah, but
but
it didn't really ruin the tension because I actually had a fun time with this movie.
this, yeah. Well, you go first. Tell me what you thought.
All right, so like I said, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it. It's not perfect. It's not amazing. It has a couple of stupid jump scares, which I'm not a fan of, but um, it was interesting and scary at times.
Hmm.
The set is a great set. They're on a boat. This could maybe be a play and done really well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and you've got your list of characters. You've got the dog. You got the little kid. You got a couple gruffs, just boatsmen.
Hmm.
And Corey Hawkins is leading us here, which I'm not used to him being a leading man, and he does just fine.
Hmm.
And yeah, Dracula basically comes alive, and he has to feed during the 2 weeks that they're at sea. And he kind of goes and uses his wits while the humans try and hunt him down and take him out before they make it.
Hmm.
So I really liked it, and the characters are pretty well realized. There's a kind of
I
religious
agree.
nut chef, he's all into Jesus, and the boat's captain is just, of course, he's retiring. And this is my last voyage, um, but he has his grandson on the boat with him, and so that's his intent. And they even kill a few characters who most movies would be too chicken shit to kill. So I
Yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah. Um as soon I have this app on my phone called Does the Dog Die? And as
Yes,
soon as I
that's in
see a
my Twitter
dog,
bio.
yeah, as soon as I see a dog in the movie, I look it up. I don't care if it's a spoiler. So, I if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to tell you right now, all the animals in this movie die, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of animals in this
Yep.
movie.
Yep.
And it is it's a hard watch if you're an animal lover. Didn't really I don't. It's to me, it's when you fall in love with the dog and then it dies. And this one, you don't really. It happens pretty quickly, so it's not a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Yeah. And I'm like of
Um.
two minds because I'm the same way. I love dogs probably more than humans. They're just
Hmm.
innocent creatures that never deserve anything bad to happen to them.
Yep.
Um, so I hate to see them have harm, but a movie surprises me when they do it because I'm like, oh shit, they killed a dog, like John Wick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like, oh my god, they actually killed a dog, and then this movie amps it up and
Yeah.
kills somebody else that you wouldn't think. So,
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it. I thought the effects were pretty good for Dracula.
Hmm.
Um,
I saw some people kind of picking the effects apart, and and so I was kind of waiting for them to be really bad, and I thought they were well done, and the design of Dracula and everything, like the creature, I thought it was all well done. So if maybe at parts they were a little spotty, it didn't really bother me.
yeah,
Um,
right. And you really only see him in extreme darkness because he comes out at night, or
yeah.
it's storming out on the deck of the boat.
Hmm.
And he's pretty smart in this. I mean, he's not just a monstrous killing machine. He
Hmm.
kind of knows he can't just kill everyone at once or else he'll drown at sea in that boat because he doesn't know how to use the boat. You know,
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
explicitly said, but it's kind of like, oh, he's killing one person. And he kind of, I think,
Well,
tell
it
me if
is
I'm,
actually explicitly said near the end, actually.
well, oh, right, right. But tell me if I'm right in that the
You're
lady
right.
from the Nightingale, I think she was brought on to be his snack for the trip, right?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the movie it happens pretty quickly, but all of a sudden there's this stowaway on the boat because this one of the crates gets dislodged and this woman falls out. And she's got all these bites on her and
She's
um
clinging to life, missing tons of blood.
yeah, so they and anyway, so it's she's one of Dracula's women, like his harem or whatever he would call like he had a lot of them, like, and they're basically like their food that he can snack on and continue. So I'm wondering if they had just left her, if a lot of this wouldn't have happened, like if
Oh,
they
that's
just put
messed
her
up.
back in the box and
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
um
a funny. You're right. That's a good interpretation. I think you're right.
I don't understand why critics are kind of shitting on this movie. It's at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is it's I don't know. I'm giving it 4 stars. I absolutely really really like this movie. I found the sense of dread that this movie had to just I love those kind of movies where it's like all hope is lost, but and then this movie has a lot of emotion. Uh like the characters are so like well written, and even character like in a lot of these horror movies they're all just characters that are there to die, and I
Yeah,
felt like a lot of these characters you knew their role and they were just so well done, and you're like, okay, this is this guy, but he's a little bit deeper than just being
the
the
prostitute guy. Yeah,
right or the drunk, or there's more to him, and then the one guy, and he kind of like survives until like the very last act, and and you're like, oh wow, like this guy, and you kind of like him and you're rooting for him. um I don't know his name, but he kind of had like the beard and the red hair.
yeah,
But
yeah. He's like the scrappy, like rednecky type, like just your typical boat worker guy who just wants to go home and have a beer and watch TV or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I can
um
empathize with that guy.
yeah,
And
for sure.
but I think we would be remiss if we did not mention the captain of the boat who you said David Dismalchian, right? No, sorry,
Yes.
sorry. No, that's
The
No.
captain was Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones, and David Dastmalchian. He was like the first mate, and
Yeah, he's been in Ant-Man, he's in Dune.
yeah, yeah,
The captain. I think the captain was fantastic here.
yeah.
He looked and acted and behaved like a captain of the time would back then.
So which one? The one from Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones guy, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked him in Game of Thrones, and he was one of my favorite characters on that show. And in this, he was great, and he's really good at showing that emotion. He has some parts where he kind of has to, yeah, he's
Comes apart a little
gets
bit.
yeah he gets sad or he falls apart, and it was really well done. So
But then he also feels like a great ship's captain. Like
yeah,
I would totally trust him if I got on a boat and he
me
told
too.
me what to do. Like he just has that look of like
a, a
he knows.
little similar to Bernard Hill, who was the captain on Titanic.
Oh yes.
He was the actor
Good
who
call.
played. Yeah, like they're
Good
very
call.
like the beard, white hair, looks like a captain kind of, right?
Yeah, and they exude confidence. Like you
Yes,
trust them.
yes.
Yeah, so I
I
would give it 3.5.
Yeah, and I gave it 4. I had it at 3.5, and then I heard Eric Holmes on Cinematics give it 4, and he talked me into giving it a 4 as well because I wanted to give it a 4, but then you're kind of, oh, everyone hates this movie. Maybe I shouldn't. But no, I think this is a lot of fun, and
Yeah. Yep.
I immediately got out of it, and I messaged Florence from the Film Vault, and I'm like, girl, have you seen this yet? And she's like, no, like it just doesn't. It seems like a money grab. And I'm like, no, go see it. You will like it.
Oh, I
And
gotta get you should put us in a group chat because I would love to talk with
yeah,
her about the horror movies we've seen. 'Cause
it's
I know she's
she's.
obsessed.
I forget what one because I always message her whenever something like that happens, and there was one
Talk to me.
recently.
Did we talk? Did she talk
Yes,
about talk?
Talk to Me. Yes. So I messaged her immediately and I said, have you seen Talk to Me? She said, I saw it last night. I was a fan. My skin was tingling in some scenes, which I love, and I thought the ending was great.
Hell yes.
So
She's
she's the
on
horror
point.
queen, and
Yep.
I love, so whenever I see something that's good, I definitely jump to it. So I have been talking too much. Let us hear about Jules.
All right. So Jules is very limited release. I can't even remember, Mitch. Did we mention this as coming out next week?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did. Okay. So Jules is 2023. It's definitely a film festival type movie because it's small budget. It's based around just a couple of old people, excuse me, elderly people. The story is this: a flying saucer lands in the backyard of an elderly suburbanite with memory problems who forms a bond with the sacred little alien inside. So it's kind of like E.T., but for the elderly. Right,
Okay.
not as intense. It's more satire than E.T. because E.T. has a heart of gold, and this one's more like, "Ha ha! Can you believe what's happening?" Um, Ben Kingsley plays the old man, and he's
Yeah.
unrecognizable. So he's fantastic, and his mind is like just starting to go. His daughter comes over and is like, "Why is there a can of beans in the medicine cabinet? And why is the newspaper in the refrigerator?" And she's trying to get him to go in to hospice or something, and he's being a stubborn old man
Hmm.
and not wanting to do that. So um one of the things we see his character do is every month during the town hall meetings he goes and says the same things. He said the town motto should be changed for some stupid reason. They need to add a crosswalk here because of jaywalking. It's stuff that old retired people do because they have nothing else better to do. And so we're looked on him as kind of like, get a life, old man. So anyway, one day this alien craft crash lands. Little silver alien dude falls out of the ship, and he kind of just approaches with caution, and then goes back inside. He's like, nope, not gonna mess with that. Um, and he doesn't tell anybody, or he tells the grocer, who then thinks that he has finally lost his mind. So the
Right.
grocer calls his daughter and says, "Oh, you really need to get him out of the house now. He's starting to lose it. He thinks he's seeing aliens." So yeah, there's a lot of really cute And like I told you, tender comedy in this. It's
Mm-hmm.
very sweet, but it's not excellent. You can feel the low budget, especially with the creature design, and it has some powers at some point. And the spaceship looks really silly, but it has a really good heart, and it got a good amount of laughs. And I saw it with mostly an elderly crowd because I saw it at like noon on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But my crowd loved it and thought it was really funny.
Hmm.
And the story is just basically how he grows and learns to maybe not be so stubborn and listen to his daughter more frequently. He bonds with this alien, and of course the government is closing in on them, looking for this because they know a satellite has fallen. And yeah, and that's basically it. That's basically
Huh.
Jules.
I like that Jane Curtin is in this because she was in Third Rock from the Sun, another Alien. It was a TV show. I don't know if you remember, with John Lithgow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I loved that show when I was younger.
So she always reminds me of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Really?
Yeah,
She
they
always
have
reminds.
similar faces, I think.
Okay, she always reminds me a little bit of the mom from that '70s show. I always think they're the same people,
Oh yeah.
even though
I
they're
could see that.
different, but they're both blonde and like kind of similar age. But and then I do like Harriet Sansom Harris, who plays Sandy in this.
Tell me who
Um,
that is.
uh,
Okay. So yeah. So Kingsley has these two neighbors who
yeah,
he doesn't really communicate with. He should be friends with them. They're the same age. They're retired, but again, he's so grumpy. It's kind of like, did you see A Man Called Otto?
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is it like A Man Called Otto?
He's very A Man Called Otto. Not as bad and not as much of a dick as Hanks or the other guy in the original was.
Mm.
But he doesn't care to talk to anybody. He does the same stupid routine every day, and he's just waiting to die basically. So this creature comes in and brings warmth and friendship, and we
Hmm.
all grow and everybody's happy because of it.
Mark Turtletop. Oh, okay.
And it was also nice to see this movie because you very rarely get to see elderly people lead a comedy drama that often, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
And so what'd you give it?
so I gave it 3 stars.
Three
I gave it
stars.
3 stars. You definitely don't need to see this in a theater. But if the trailer looked kind of funny, or you look at the trailer and think, oh, my dad might like that one, then it'd be a great one to watch with your dad.
I think this might be a good one to watch with the parents. I think they would.
Streaming. Yep. It's very inoffensive.
Yeah.
They give the alien a shirt. They're like, does he need clothing? Oh, doesn't he feel naked? And so they put a shirt on, and it says something about, I'm a lesbian, because the dog, that one of the old lady's grandson is a lesbian, and she's having a hard
Okay.
time coming to grips with it. So it's that kind of boomer humor.
God, Mike Turtletop, the director of this, he has directed like such a weird list of movies.
Hit me.
Little Miss Sunshine in 2006, Sunshine Cleaning, Away We Go, Jack Goes Boating, Our Idiot Brother, Safety Not Guaranteed.
Wait a minute. No, I thought Jonathan Dayton did Little Miss Sunshine. Oh, maybe he wrote it or co-directed it.
Oh no, these were all films he's produced. Never mind.
Oh,
he's only done directed 3 movies. Never mind. Apologies.
All right.
I don't know who Mike Turtletop is.
I do that all the time too.
Good job. Okay, thank you for correcting me there. Okay, well,
but no, let's stop. He produced The Farewell, Safety Not Guarantee.
Yeah.
Loving. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that's
that
what I was just about to say. Yeah,
so that was awesome.
So he has an eye for good movies, apparently.
Yep,
but I thought he directed all those. Wow. So yeah, so that was that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab a beer.
Me too.
Okay. People of YouTube get to watch Ant struggle to open a beer for that whole time. Did you get it open?
I did. I used a different surface this time with a better angle.
Oh man, I gotta open mine, but I keep openers around probably because I drink a little more than you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Not to say that's bad, but when I do
No, no.
drink, I drink more probably because I'll have 10, you know.
Yeah, I like to have like depends on the night, but one or two are nice to come home to and whatever. But I'm gonna talk about The Passenger because I'm really excited to talk about this.
I
And
can't wait to hear about this one.
yeah, you need to watch this. Like I know you don't watch a ton of movies at home, but you need to sit down and watch
It
this.
it looks good. I remember downloading it and thinking, "Oh, I really need
Yeah.
to see this."
So The Passenger is directed by Carter Smith, who did a movie that also he did the 2008 movie The Ruins. Did you ever see that? The
No,
horror?
but I remember it.
It's not bad. And
Oh,
then
did he did Swallowed where that chick was
no, not that one. This is a
oh,
different Swallow that also came out this year that I'm gonna try to catch. Um, It stars Kyle Gallner and then Johnny Birchtold. Basically, it's a two-hander, and then Liza Wheel, or however you say it. I remember her from Gilmore Girls, which my ex-wife used to watch. So, but she's good in this as well. She's got a part later on in the movie.
say that again, who was that? Melissa?
Her name is Liza Wheel, Weil,
Oh, okay, okay.
and so basically, this movie opens and there's people working at this. It's like a Burger King, but it's not Burger King. And there's there's these couple and they're kind of like they're horny and the guy's a douchebag and he's all over the girl
Going
and the
too
boss
far, pushing it too far.
yeah and the boss is a dick and blah 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 and Kyle Gallner and this other guy Johnny Birchtold um they work there. And Johnny Birchtold was just asked, but said by the manager, "Hey, like, what do you want to do with your life? And do you want to be a manager? Because I'm gonna suggest you to be a manager." And he's kind of like, "Oh, okay, yeah, 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 sure." And then he goes out, and these two like teen kids are like being stupid, and then the guy comes up and he's in his face like, eat this fucking old burger from last night. Eat this burger from last night.
Like as a
You're
dare?
yeah, not like a dare, like bullying him.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kyle Gallner goes out to his car and grabs his shotgun and comes in and just shoots up the place. Like
Wow.
it's pretty graphic. So this movie is touted
So
as
like
a
he's has no problem that he's gonna go back to or he's gonna go to jail for life, basically.
well so that's how the movie starts. And then this movie is called a horror thriller. It's a thriller drama.
Okay.
Aside from that beginning part, that like there's really not a lot of horror in this movie. There's like that violence, but it's not scary in any way, shape, or form.
It's not
Uh,
like the opening to Talk to Me.
no, no, not
Okay.
at all. No, it's completely different. It's like watching a guy go mad. And so Kyle Gallner now kind of becomes this buddy to this Johnny Birchtold character and he puts him in his car and he's just driving around and he's like, you need to have bigger balls and blah 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 after Kyle Gallner just shot up this place. And so they're driving and they're like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? Kyle Gallner's kind of playing the same character who played in Dinner in America a little bit. You know, but he's a killer kind of. This movie goes in emotional, unexpected places that like I never expected coming. Um
Cool.
it's it's a two-hander. It's these two they're just driving around. They know they have they time it out. They know they have like 6 or 7 hours before they're caught or before the cops get them. The guy the Johnny Birchtold, who I know from somewhere, but I can't remember.
So that kind of reminds me of, did you see the Gerard Carmichael movie where him and Chris, whatever, were going to kill themselves at the end of the day?
Yes. Yeah, was that
So they,
Count on Me or 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
something
something
like
like
that?
that.
Yeah, that was I like that movie,
I
but
did too.
this one's definitely darker. It's 94 minutes.
But instead of suicide, they're going to be caught by the police, I guess.
Yeah, and
That's the ticking clock.
but like, see, so Kyle Gallner's the one who shot up the place. The other guy is just kind of he's
An
the
accessory.
passenger. He's
Okay.
just along for the ride. And I have a theory about this movie. To me, it feels a lot like Fight Club. Like there's the two parts
Of Tyler Durden, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't kind of an anti-spoiler, but it doesn't go that route. Like they are two separate people, but it's almost like Kyle Gallner is the Jiminy Cricket to this guy's character, right? Yeah, he's like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, like I see potential in you. That's why I just killed that guy who was bullying you. This is such an interesting movie. I really liked it. It's definitely going to be in my top 20 of the year. It'll probably break my top 10. I gave it 4.5 stars. But don't go into this thinking it's a horror. This is a drama with some definite comedic elements, thriller elements, and then some really great emotion along the way, in places you just wouldn't expect it. And I loved it. I loved it. So
Kyle Gallner, who looked familiar, he was just in Smile. He was the cop, and then he was also in Scream, one of the group, the new Scream.
Yep. Yeah, he's kind of our new horror guy.
Yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah. So, did you see Dinner in America?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is. It's you would like that one too. But Kyle Gallner's been around for a while. Like he's been acting since 2003, 2001.
So he's almost like an Aaron Taylor Johnson or somebody like that.
You're right. They look alike, don't they? For sure.
And they only pick like cool roles that'll get festival noms,
Yeah.
All right, I gotta see this. You convinced me.
You have to see. I don't want to I've already fucking built this up way too high.
No, you didn't. My expectations are tempered.
Yeah,
it sounds like one I would like.
Yeah, it just hit me like really, really hard, and I really liked it. So
where's it set? Is it set in Middle America?
Yeah, Middle America for sure. Where is it set? You go on to the next movie, and New Orleans.
Oh, I love New Orleans.
It's that's where it's filmed.
It's a Blumhouse produced.
Yeah, Blumhouse. Which I watch a lot of what they make. So it was filmed in New Orleans. So which seems about right. I don't know where it was set, but yeah,
somewhere in the southern hot states.
Small town, southern. Yeah. But give it a shot, people.
Excellent. All right,
it's really good.
I'm gonna watch that then.
Yeah.
Did you say how long it was?
94 minutes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right.
What's next? Cobweb?
I don't want to talk again. Go to theater camp.
All right, yeah. I'll do.
I gotta hear about this.
Because you saw Cobweb and I saw it a few weeks ago, so we can knock heads there. All right, theater camp. I don't know. I know you've heard of this.
Yeah.
And it's been on the festival circuit for a while. Film nerds, people like us, we've heard of this. We knew it was coming. A lot of critics couldn't get to their microphones quick enough to praise this movie, right?
Okay, yeah.
Well, at least the ones I listen to. Do you know who Dan Merle is? He does a box office show every week. He used to work for Screen Junkies.
Oh, no, I don't. Now I do.
Yeah, he's great. He's really great. He does the box office reporting that I usually steal from.
Okay.
He does it on like Monday or Tuesday, but anyway, he had been pimping this movie big time. And I hadn't heard of it until just a couple weeks ago. It showed at Sundance virtually, so I could have seen it if I did the whole virtual Sundance thing. But anyway, so theater camp, right? It's about a little theater camp in the Adirondack Mountains, which are somewhere in upstate New York, if I think correctly. It's a shitty rundown camp, and it's for actors, kids that want to be actors, right? But it's for like the downtrodden, poor kids. If you come from wealth, you're not getting sent here. They take in grants, they tour the country trying to raise money. It's been going on for some 15 years or so. And the main lady that runs it, Joan, she has a seizure and goes into a coma like the week before the summer of the camp is supposed to start. So that brings in her dumbass son, who is one of those selfie stick, yo, what's up, y'all? I'm out here on YouTube. Things are lit and bussin', and he's one of those assholes.
Oh God.
And so he's there to fill in for his mom to help make this theater camp run. He knows dick about acting, theaters. He doesn't care, but it all falls on his shoulders, okay? The movie's directed by Molly Gordon, who you should recognize that name.
I do.
So she actually stars in it, and this is her directorial debut.
Okay.
She was in Booksmart and You People and Good Boys.
Okay. Did I see you?
She was awesome. And she was the main person in Shiva Baby. Please tell me you saw Shiva Baby.
I didn't see Shiva Baby.
Shiva Baby is hilarious.
I know. I still need. Anderson talks about it like crazy, but
that's right. It's great. It's like 80 minutes. If you're Jewish or even Jewish adjacent, like if you know Jewish people, it's even funnier. This is Shiva Baby.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she co-wrote, directed, and starred in this. So she should be very proud of what she got here, because I left feeling as a 3-star. I'm not a theater kid. I never wanted to act. Those kids in my high school at the time were kind of weird and the goofy ones. And when I was immature, of course, I would make fun of them. So that, that's where I'm coming to this from. But now looking at it through the eyes.
Yeah.
Several days later.
Should I explain? Should I just jump right in?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hello everyone. So this episode will have cut off in the middle. Welcome back to the Hollywood Persona. I'm Mitch. That's Ant. We had a power outage on Ant's end. It's nice to say that it was actually Ant's fault this time and not mine. It's usually like I didn't want to get out of bed, or my power went out or something, because I'm in the middle of bumfuck, Ontario. But yeah, so his power went out, and we were in the middle of his theater camp review. It has now been a few days, and it is now Sunday, August the 20th. I'm sure this is really weird. Not many podcasts do this, but we now both have seen Blue Beetle, so we're gonna add that into the roster of movies we're going to talk about. And we also have the box office numbers for this most current weekend. And I'm not only going to tell you what came out this past week, but I'm going to tell you what's coming out this week as well.
Oh yeah, good idea.
So we've kind of got a show spanning 2 weeks here. Then Ant and I will try to come back at you later on in the week, or whatever works best for us, depending on what we've seen, because now we've both seen Blue Beetle.
I definitely want to see Strays.
ASAP. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to see Strays, but there's a lot of stuff at home I really want to catch too, so maybe if I catch some things at home, we could have another good episode coming at you by the end of the week. So without further ado, Ant, why don't you jump back into theater camp?
Yeah.
And you will not hear any of what Ant said before about theater camp, because he's just going to start fresh, because it's been 2 fucking days and he does not remember where he left off in the in the review. So what did you think? I mean what I said before, that I am excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I was highly looking forward to this theater camp. I knew of it. It was a Sundance or South by Southwest darling.
Okay.
The critic groups loved it, was raving about it. Lots of the podcasts and YouTube people I follow wouldn't stop talking about it. You got to see Theater Camp, you got to see it. And it has interesting pedigree. So we have Rachel Sennett, right? I think that's her. No, sorry. I get her and Molly Gordon confused. Molly Gordon is the star of it, who we know from The Good Boys recently. She was in, she crushed Booksmart. So she directed this movie as her directorial debut.
Oh my God, she's so young.
Yeah, that's what's so impressive. And this was a short initially. So she directs, she stars. It's about a fledgling, poor, middle of nowhere America, white as hell theater camp for kids. And, they just barely make it each year. They scrape by donations, embellish what they are doing. But the heart's there. It's people, adults alike, and actors who are failed actors maybe, just want to teach kids how to act and be in the arts. So for people like us who love movies, this is an easy sell for us. It also has Ben Platt, who you'll remember that name from Dear Evan Hansen.
Yes.
And I am so relieved to say that he does totally fine in this.
Yeah, and he's playing his own age.
Yes, he's playing an adult. He has a very manly beard, and he's a good actor. I can see why they would have picked him for Dear Evan Hansen. I don't think it wasn't much of his fault. They totally fucked him over for that movie. The movie was terrible.
They took him from the theater production, and he'd been doing the theater production for 10 years. And when he started it,
yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
But he was like 30 trying to play an aloof.
It felt so weird.
So him and Molly Gordon they're kind of our main characters. The movie starts out with the old, because every like famous actor has a crazy old lady acting coach that they've known for 100 years, right? They wear like robes and they say things like emotes. So the crazy acting lady is at a kids play recruiting kids for the theater camp, and she has a seizure and goes into a coma. So her dipshit of a son comes in, and he's Mr. Bro. Everything's bussin', no cap, sideways hat, always doing a vlog, thinking he is an influencer. That's his character, and he's a little annoying to start out with. Like I was kind of like leaning back, like, oh God, I hope he doesn't do this the whole movie, because we've seen that before. So he's put in charge of this camp. Everyone resents him. He has no clue what he's doing, and the movie kind of goes from there. It has some great character actors. It's really funny. It's not perfect. I think I rated it 3, and I'm going to move it to 3.5 because it's so charming. And some of the kids, you can just tell are having a blast as if this place is real. And there's a fight to save the camp because it's about to go under. And so this wealthier camp that's a few miles down the road wants to buy them. So it's kind of like one of those 80s movies where we got to save the rec center.
Yeah, so the Muppets did that.
The Muppets did it too, yeah. So it's really sweet. And I would say that if anyone ever gave a shit about acting at any point, you'll probably like this movie.
Okay.
The people I saw it with, oh my God, my theater was packed. I think I went to the last night it was showing at a Regal at 10 p.m. The people in my theater were younger, probably in their 20s, and they were dying laughing at everything that was said.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it comes in at 89 minutes. And
but were you laughing too, like for most of it?
Not as much.
Right.
All the jokes I've just heard them before.
Yeah.
They'll like make a reference how this kid actor is absolutely gay, but he doesn't know it yet, or I'll give away a good joke. So one of the straight kid who's like very good looking, has a great voice. They catch him playing football in the backyard, and he drops it and says, "I'm sorry, I'd never touched it before. I just didn't know. I just didn't want people to think I, was gay or something." So he gets in trouble for playing football because he's at theater camp. Yeah, it's really funny.
Oh my God. So the mom, I guess, that must have the stroke or whatever, she's played by Amy Sedaris. I love her.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. She's barely in it.
Yo, is she? Oh, damn.
Yeah, just because she's in a coma for most of it.
Oh, shit. Okay, coma.
Yeah. And they
you know her from Sorry, people will know her from The Mandalorian most recently.
Yes.
She's played the Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett. But she's a great comedian. She came up with Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter. She's one of the better female comedians who we don't get see enough of. Sorry,
Definitely.
but
No,
yeah.
no, I'm glad you mentioned her. And the last thing I want to say about this movie theater camp, this reminds me of a kid's version of Don't Think Twice with Key from Key and Peele. Did you see that in 2018, 2019?
I love that movie.
This is a kid's version of Don't Think Twice.
Okay.
And Don't Think Twice is one of those 100% on Rotten Tomato movies.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
That movie didn't get its due.
No one saw it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that you saw it because like that movie, I just picked I remember going to this store in Canada that was closing down. It was all DVDs and stuff, and I just picked it up because I saw it had who it had in it, and oh my god, just laughed my ass off. So great, great.
It's great. Yeah, that's Don't Think Twice. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's a gem. It's a comedy one. It's about improv. It's just so funny.
Directed by Mike Birbiglia.
Yes, Mike Birbiglia. Yep.
And starring Keegan-Michael Key, Jillian Jacobs from Community. Mike Birbiglia is in it.
Yep.
And then you'll know everyone else in it from like Veep and a bunch of other TV shows and stuff.
A whole bunch of other comedies. You're like, oh, that's the guy. That's the girl from Yeah.
So
they're peppered in there, and it gives you like a really decent insight into how improv works and how people kind of get plucked from certain places to move up to something like Saturday Night Live or become a writer for the Tonight Show.
And a lot of that I listen to because I listen to Dana Carvey and David Spade's podcast about Saturday Night Live. I listen to the Conan O'Brien podcast. I listen to the Smartless podcast. So you hear about these stories all the time where people get plucked from these different improv theaters, or all of a sudden they make it big, and then they've got all their friends back home who didn't make it, right? So,
and there's resentment there. Those people want it just as bad as you, and that movie made me learn like the skill level. There's not that much difference. Like they're all good, and they could all do well. It's just this person was in the right place, the right time, or made the right joke when the right person was listening. It's just it's a tough world. So
it is a tough world.
But yeah, overall theater camp, it's great. It's worth watching. Definitely a streaming hit or a streaming pick. No need to see in a theater, although I'm glad I did. And it's like 85 minutes.
I don't know if I talked about Cobweb or not. I don't think I did.
No, I don't think so either. Shoot.
Because I know I talked about Passenger. We talked about the Demeter. We talked about Jules. Did we do Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, we didn't. And I don't think we did Cobweb because I wanted to hear your thoughts since I had seen
it. So we have a few more to go.
Yeah, damn.
And then do you want to save Blue Beetle for last then, since it's kind of the newest thing? And okay. So Cobweb.
So what do you think? I remember giving it a pretty poor review to you.
Yes. So let me just pull it up here.
I put your expectations through the floor. And you ended up liking it.
You did. Eric Holmes of the Cinematics podcast, he didn't like it either. This movie stars Lizzie Kaplan and Woody Norman, who you will know. Or not Woody Norman. Woody Norman was from... well, actually, he was in Demeter. The last Voyage of the Demeter.
Demeter. It has the guy from The Boys in this.
But The Boys, Anthony Starr. Not Anthony. Anthony Starr. And they are two parents of this child, Peter. He is 8 years old, and he lives. And his parents are overbearing. We don't really know why, but they don't like Halloween. They don't.
It doesn't seem like it's religious, because some like really pious people are like,
right.
Oh, Harry Potter's the devil, and they won't celebrate religion. It doesn't feel like that.
That is my grandmother. My grandmother, she turns all the lights off at Halloween. She has never celebrated Halloween ever in her life.
That's sad. I feel bad because it's a fun holiday.
Yeah, it is.
Especially as
I
a
love
kid.
Halloween. Yeah. So he kind of just lives his life. He goes to school, and he has this teacher who cares about him. His teacher's kind of noticing weird things, and what it comes down to is poor little Peter. He tries to go to sleep at night, and he hears knocking on his wall every night. and he knocks back, and whatever's knocking knocks back to him. And he starts to uncover a mystery that is,
Yeah.
definitely, he uncovers a mystery.
Yeah, there is. It's not. He's not imagining hearing this knocking. There is something going on.
Yes,
in
we
or
will
around
just
the house.
Yes, we will just say, like, it's not just like a ghostly thing, it is a whole thing. And anyways, this movie sucks. This movie is
It's really bad.
this movie
really bad.
is really, really bad. I should have done this before. I apologize to anyone listening, but I should have pulled up my notes because I have notes. No, this movie is just kind of, it's funny because Eric Holmes keeps saying, "Oh my God, like I know people love this movie," and I mean it's got like a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think people are loving this movie.
Oh, okay. That's increased because it was lower when I saw it.
I could be wrong, could be 38, but and I just laughed so hard when it goes out. This room, this house that they're in is so outdated and creepy. It kind of reminded me of Carrie a little bit. Have you ever seen Carrie?
Yeah.
Like the house is
Good
just
call.
outdated. The parents, it felt like Lizzie Kaplan was kind of trying to do Carrie's mother a little bit. It just didn't work as well. I love Lizzie Kaplan, and there was times where I was like, "Wow, Lizzie Kaplan, good job," and then there was times where I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't have went there."
And the horror movie cliches are there, right? It's
Yes,
dark room, even during the day.
yes.
Kid is bullied by the older kids. That's in every horror movie. Kid draws creepy pictures that scare the teacher.
Oh
It's like we've seen that so many times.
Oh,
It's
the teacher is great.
yeah, teacher's a nice surprise.
Yeah, that whole line, that whole field of where they went with the teacher and everything was really great. She ends up like, I don't want to give it away, but she kind of like, she sees the picture that Peter has drawn, and the picture is so stupid and hilarious. It's, you were saying this in the last episode, but it's just a picture of Peter in bed with a bubble above him that says "help."
Help me,
And I mean,
please.
it's so like on the nose.
Yeah.
And
the better version of this movie was the black phone. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
the
not
black
same,
phone or
but
the
something-
Ring, or
Yeah.
we've had these kind of movies. Anthony Starr is really good.
Mhm.
Did you see what the town they're in is called?
No.
It's called Holdenfield.
Explain that to me.
Okay, so Haddonfield
Oh
is
yes, of course. It's
Michael
in LA.
Myers, right?
Yeah.
So they don't really make a big deal about it, but it's called Holdenfield. The script is just really, really bad, which
That's
is
the
really
main problem. It's a bad
yes.
script.
which is really bad because the movie is well shot. For the most part, it's well acted. It has a really good tone and vibe. It does well at keeping this like creepiness about it, but the movie is just not good. And the script is just so weak. To me, this was like Malignant if Malignant didn't work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
especially with where it goes in the final act, felt very Malignant-y. If you liked Malignant, but no, this one is a no go for me. I think
Yep,
I gave it
it's totally
1
forgettable.
star. But yeah, completely forgettable. Especially
Yeah,
with
this is like a straight to Shutter movie. Like I don't know what they were thinking, put it in theaters.
yeah,
Up
straight
against- They put it in the. I think they put it during Barbie and Oppenheimer weekend. So maybe they were.
yeah.
Maybe they were trying to hide it.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, that's the only reason I brought it up is because, Ant, if I can't see something in theaters, Ant likes to talk about it when it's in theaters, and then I like to talk about it when it's on VOD. It is now on VOD, so you can rent it if you want, and I'm telling you to just save your
right
money.
over it. Yep.
Yeah, save your money because there are a lot better things coming. I would say go see The Last Voyage of the
me.
Demeter.
Or
Talk to me. Fuck yeah. Actually, you want to hear something really weird, Ant?
Yeah.
Anthony? They talked to me. My little theater near my house just last week, they put Talk to Me in my little theater near my house.
Nice.
And it's been out for its like third week.
Third week, yeah.
So I just found that so odd.
That is odd. We don't have it at my theater. We have 7 screens, the one I just started working at. And I've been kind of nudging my GM, like, "Hey, man, we should get this. It's making decent money."
Yeah. So no, I just thought that was cool. So anyway, so that's
cool.
Cobweb.
Yep.
Why don't Now I can't remember if you talked about the Pod Generation or not.
No, I did not. I talked about Jules, but I didn't talk
Yes.
about PodGeneration.
So why don't you talk about the Pod Generation? Why are you taking your pants off?
No, I dropped something.
I'm just kidding, everyone. He has his pants on. As you can see, if you're watching us on YouTube, which you totally can.
Yeah, let me talk about the Pod Generation. So this is a movie that snuck up on me, which I kind of like when that happens. You know, anyone listening to this podcast is probably a pretty big movie fan, so you know what's coming out. And
Yeah.
just like we do at the end of the episode, say this is coming, this is coming. All the people I listen to also say that too. So it's like we hear of what's movies coming out, but this one starring Amelia Clark and Chiwetel Ejiofor just showed up when I was avoiding the trailers for I was waiting outside to see Jules, and I'll just scroll through my phone while the trailers go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this theater next to me has this movie called The Pod Generation. So yeah, The Pod Generation is a sci-fi thriller that is probably best as a Black Mirror episode. And I wouldn't be surprised if Black Mirror has an episode like this. I'll just give it. Yeah,
they said that on cinematics, actually.
Okay, yeah.
That's funny.
It's, you know, living in 2050, it's more sterile, it's more, but it just goes too far. Sometimes it's a little heavy-handed with his message. We get it. People don't want plants around anymore. It's so obnoxious to where it's like no one will ever get to that point. Like Amelia Clark's character, she's the breadwinner of the family.
Right.
She works at a big, important technology building, and then of course her husband Chiwetel Ejiofor, he is a botanist, and his work is a university. They are pushing for him to finally replace the real plants with the AR versions. Like that's a real conversation that his boss has with him. And he like makes his students like hug the trees and stuff and smell them. And so the argument comes down to, do they have the baby in these pods where dad submits sperm, mom submits egg, and the womb is a pod instead of inside your body?
So the woman doesn't have to carry it for 9 months.
The woman doesn't have to carry it, put her career on hold. Her and her company, even like before they give her a promotion, they ask her if she's going to get pregnant, which in the United States would be extremely illegal. I'm sure in Canada.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, you can't be like, well, since you're a woman with a womb and all those problems, we're not going to give you this. And the whole company was made of women anyway. So there's silly things like that that go just a little too far. But I want to say the technology was really well realized. A lot of the props that get made for movies, someone had to think of them, and they're pretty cool, and I could see them showing up in the not so distant future. Yeah. This movie is 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that. So it's about half and half. And it's okay. I think if you have a young kid, recently had a young kid, want to have a young kid, or just like sci-fi, you'll like this. It's a 3-star movie, flat out. And it's very Black Mirror. Like I said, it's just very dystopic. Her therapist is an AI. So she goes into a room and talks to this giant eye on the wall. And the technology seems like we're almost there. It's like we're getting pretty close. Right. I want to mention a couple other things too. Amelia Clark is fine. She does a great job. So is Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah, they're both great. They're both. That's why I was like real excited when I saw that this was there. It's like those two leading, great. Let's see what they got. Yeah.
Wasn't playing anywhere near me, or I would have made an effort, I think.
Yeah.
The people at Cinematics, they said that it felt like there wasn't enough conflict. I don't know.
That's probably about it. And main problem I had was one of the characters changes on a dime. One of the characters is very for or against doing the pod, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, let's just do it. And we need them to do that so the movie can happen, but they don't there's nothing organic to change them. They're very staunch in a certain way.
Ways. Yeah.
And then all this, just they wake up one morning, they're like, okay, let's do it. And then of course they become even more enjoying the technology. But yeah, the props and the set design was really, really well done and thought out. Like this isn't just a cash grab. They put some thought into it.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of After Yang. Did you see After Yang in 2022?
Oh, I loved After Yang.
Or 21. Yeah. So it reminded me of that in the sense of atmosphere, mood, set design. how the future is going to be handled. So yeah, you know, if you
that's what I loved about After Yang is it felt real and tangible, as in like, yeah, we could be here in 20 years. Like this could be a future that we are definitely living in. Whereas like, you know, you go and you watch the 80s movies like Blade Runner and we're not even close to that, right? And that movie came out what 50 years ago now?
Yeah,
80s?
something like that.
40 something, yeah. But yeah, no. So you enjoyed it actually quite a bit more than everyone else I've been kind of listening to.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent, and it's probably forgettable. Sadly,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be when I'll look back and say, "Oh, I saw that year." Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like to say, Amelia Clark's accent slipped twice, which was so frustrating because they can just do another take.
I've noticed that with her before in
British
movies.
comes through and like just do a second take because the rest of the movie she's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So it was weird they left it. You know, she has a standing desk that's a treadmill, and her computer at work will say, "Seems like you're in a 23% less of a good mood. Do you want me to schedule an appointment with your psychiatrist?" You know, and then she'll walk by her boss's office and her boss will say, "Well, I noticed your productivity is down 19% today. What's going on?" It's
my God.
yeah, they're not going to get that. Like, your boss isn't going to monitor your productivity.
That's micromanaging.
Yeah, people will quit. People won't want to work under that.
Move your mic down a little. We're not hearing you as well. No, you're not your cam, your mic.
Thank you.
There you go. There we go. You were
so the Pod Generation, catch it on streaming if you come across it, but don't make a point to go see it.
You know what? I'm interested enough in all of it. I think the length, if it was like too long, then I might skip it. I don't know.
I think it's an hour 48, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't mention director Sophie Barthus.
Mm-hmm. What has she done?
Don't recognize any of her other movies. Hopper, Cold Souls, Madame Bovary.
Cold Souls with Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
That was I remember that being a critic darling. So
wow, that was 09, so that it's been a minute since she's
it was 19, but I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's Pod Generation. What you saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
You didn't.
Right, I haven't yet. No, although I gotta say I've seen a good bit of it with working at the theater. So.
Okay, well, let me just kind of give you my take quickly. I won't go into too much. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears, written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who write a lot of movies together. There's a few other writers on credited as well. Donatello is played by Micah Abbey. Michelangelo is Shannon Brown Jr. Leonardo is Nicholas Cantu, and Raphael is Brady Noon. We have also, though, rounding out the cast, Ayo Edebiri, Maya Rudolph, John Cena, Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, Natasha Demetriou, Giancarlo Esposito, Jackie Chan, Ice Cube, Paul Rudd, Post Malone, Hannibal Buress.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really, really great supporting cast. A lot of them, kind of just have like little bits. And this movie is, if you've seen a Ninja Turtles movie, this is a Ninja Turtles movie. This is, you're not really getting anything. Okay, so you're not really getting anything new in the first half, is what I'll say. The first half to me felt very generic. We've been down this road before. We kind of see how the Turtles came to be.
Right.
We see, they were
ooze.
Yeah, ooze. Yes, they were putting a bunch of ooze in it, and they turned into the Ninja Turtles. The only cool thing, the best part about this movie is its tagline, right? It's called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The Mutant Mayhem is the best part of the movie. So
okay. So Bebop and Rocksteady and maybe some other people.
Exactly. So they are turning mutants, and along with a whole other room full of animals, are turned into mutants as well. But these 4 turtles, they go down the sewer. They meet Splinter, who was a mutant before them, so he's a little older, and he raises them. It's the same old story, which I'm 33. I've seen this story many times.
Yep.
And a lot of people are giving it a pass because it really focuses on them being teenagers. And I think that's what's great. It's like they're like 15 in this movie, these kids, and the voice actors are like their age, and that works really well. It does.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the dialogue going in and out of the theater, and it sounds very topical of what a 15-year-old would talk like today.
Which just kind of annoyed the fuck out of me, because
Right.
it was like they were trying very hard to be young, like with doing like TikTok things and wordage that someone might say, but not really. It's very busy. It's more quantity over quality with the jokes. Like it's kind of a mile a minute.
So the thing that had stuck out to me is the animation style. And now that I've seen it, which at first it caught my eye, and I thought, wow, that looks pretty cool for a Turtles movie. But then I saw more pieces of it today, and I had a gross feeling where I thought, oh, they're kind of trying to do like the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I hope they're not ripping them off,
No, you know what? It's
different
the only thing that kept me entertained in the first half was this style. Was just it was beautiful. It was just well done, and like hand-drawn animation with like whatever. I don't know how they did it, but it was very well done. And yes, it's very much like Spider-Verse, but it's great.
Yeah, to me this is how I would describe it. It's meant to look like it's straight from a comic book pages.
Yes.
But and also drawn by hand, which of course it was made in a computer. But it looks like it had, just like, here's a good analogy. Digital movies will sometimes have film artifacts in them to make it look like film grain, to make it look like this was shot on film, but it was shot digitally.
Yes.
Kind of adding the old back into the new to get a blend of something newer.
To me, the movie gets a lot better once. So the main bad guy is Superfly, and he is played by Ice Cube, and Ice Cube does maybe the best performance of his career. I don't know, like not a huge Ice Cube fan, but like he really sold it for me. And then he has a whole posse of mutants, the other ones being Bebop and Rocksteady. That's their names, right? They're Seth Rogen and can't remember, but and then there's a bunch of other mutants as well. Like there's a bat, and there's this there's this big thing. There's a bunch of other mutants, and once they get involved, things get really fun, things get really interesting. I have to give the movie 3 stars just because I would never watch it again because that first half was just so blah, and the jokes never really worked for me, but I had a lot of fun in the last half. So it's a 3-star movie for me. I think a lot of people are a lot higher than I am. It'll probably make the top 5 for Oscars, like probably be up there.
Animated?
Yeah, like animated, and I think it's probably deserving, but all
right.
But to me, it was
standard Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles. Standard. Yeah, a standard animated movie. Better than a lot of what DreamWorks puts out.
I bet it's better than the Tyler Perry one I saw, or not Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was in it, but Michael Bay made it. It was terrible.
What was that? Oh, the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja. Yeah. You know what? I've seen both of those, and I couldn't fucking tell you a thing about them.
They're bad. They're so
Megan
bad.
Fox was in one.
Yes.
There. I knew that. Okay. And Will Arnett, obviously, I knew that.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
So you, sir.
Yeah.
You went to the theater for the 30th anniversary, 20th anniversary of OldBoy.
Yeah, so this was a little black box movie pick, right?
It was one of our first ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a movie that is on my embarrassing to admit I hadn't seen. I've heard of it. I've seen the memes from it. I know about the remake that came out with what's his name,
Brolin.
Brolin, and I know that big fans of the original hated it because of it. So I of course never saw that one.
Hmm.
But yeah, we talked about this on the podcast, I think, when we found out it was coming back.
Yeah.
You know, I reminded myself months ago on my calendar. This movie was fantastic. I loved it. I
Oh,
can't
good.
believe I waited this long to see it. Just right away, the few things that stuck out to me were the camera work. There's a fight scene in a hallway where he has to take
Yes.
down all these guys, and just the idea to shoot it that way in 2003 was brilliant. You know, it's like they took off one side of the wall, and it's a continuous shot, and it's him against all these dudes with pipes, and you know he'll get like a good elbow in, so they're not dead. So they'll fall down and come back up, and then as he continues to kick their asses, they get a little more nervous about going up against him.
Yeah.
They show
yeah.
him training while he is in prison for 15 years, so you understand, all right, he became a good fighter. He had nothing else to do. And the mystery around it was just fascinating. Like, what is it? There's a private jail where someone that hates you that much can pay to have you basically kidnapped,
Yeah.
you know, and the guy won't answer him, and he's just so desperate, this poor bastard. And as it unfolds, like
He's
just never
essentially in this quote unquote jail for how many years?
15, yep.
Oh my God, 15 years. Yeah. And all he has in this, like, he's a drunk and he's captured at the beginning of the movie and put in this. It's like a really nice jail.
Yeah, it's like a hotel.
Right.
It's like a hotel, but
he's
you
trapped
absolutely
in
cannot
there.
leave. Yeah.
And he's given a TV and everything.
Yeah, there's a TV in the room, so we watch 15 years of events unfold, and he you know, a guard comes by every day and gives him food, and the guard never says a single word to him, no matter what our captor or our prisoner says. The guard never says a single word. He has no idea why he's there or how long he's going to be there. It really would drive you crazy.
The only thing he really did, he was public drunkenness. He has a daughter. It was supposed to be her birthday. He was supposed to be there with a gift, but he's a shitty dad. He's just a drunk. Anyways,
and so the story is just great. I mean, you're hooked and you're fascinated from the jump, because he makes a damn fool out of himself, and he's just an asshole enough to where you're kind of like, fuck this guy. This guy sucks, you know? Because like, I'm not above anyone else. I can get drunk and act a fool, but I won't like cuss out a cop no matter what happens, you know? Like there's a line, there's lines, and he seems to be okay with crossing these lines. But it's great because it so much builds his character.
Yeah.
And once you find out what's going on, and you do, it slowly unfolds. It's
unexpected
shocking.
Places.
It's shocking, and just it's like, it's so cruel. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, it's not he killed someone, he raped someone. It's nothing like that. It's just he did something really shitty as a younger person, and this person now has the means and the time. The time investment for this villain must have been obnoxious to get this guy back for something, a transgression. So it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, and it does it in a short amount of time. There's some narration to help explain.
It's a big story. You know, the movie's like probably just almost 2 hours, but it's
barely.
It's a big story for 2 hours. Like, it covers a lot of time, obviously, and a lot of growth, and it's great.
It's fantastic. It's so good. And the camera work, like I said, is one of the intriguing parts. There's some cool shots and scenes. I don't know the names of them, but you know, you're just watching, you're like, oh, I see what that was neat. Oh, cool. You know, it's you start to notice and pick those things up. And I have to say the acting is phenomenal. So of course it's in Korean or Japanese? No, Korean. Of course it's Korean, and so there's very little English. But man, just his eyes, his face, the hair.
The hair.
You know, I mean, him, like when he first finally gets out, his it's so realistic because his first instinct is to literally just go up to a person and touch their face because he hasn't seen another human. They knock him out with like tranquilizer gas whenever they need to come in the room and fix something or, do whatever. So yeah, so he hasn't talked to a single person or touched someone in 15 years. And so when he gets out, you're like, you feel what he must be feeling.
Yeah.
The director does a great job illustrating that. And this is Park Chan-wook.
Yes, Park Chan-wook. Yeah.
Which recently did The Handmaiden, which was excellent.
Which I haven't
and this,
seen, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I like it too because it has a lot of sex in it. And a lot of movies nowadays don't. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see when there's that in there.
Yeah, when it's done well, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of inspired now to go back and check out the rest of this guy's filmography.
Well, it's funny because I just recorded an episode of the Film Vultures with Alex Simpson, and we were kind of talking about OldBoy, and he was gonna assign me The Handmaiden.
Oh, really?
That or his other one that he did. But yeah, no, I you can go back and listen to my review. I didn't love it as much as Ant. I had some issues with it, but to the point where like I need to watch it again because like there was just a lot going on that just I was confused about or didn't work for me, and it's just one I need to watch again and really like. Now that I've seen it and I know, I know what's going on, it's like I want to watch it again and then fully feel the whole story.
Because I had a million questions, and I was texting a friend of mine that I knew liked this movie down here in Atlanta, and I said, "Hey, I'm finally seeing it." And he's like, "Oh my God, why'd you wait so long?" And so I said to him, because he thinks he might be in prison because he was framed for killing a family member, and
right.
Yeah, I wrote my friend Brendan. I said, I haven't seen this movie, but I got a feeling he didn't actually kill a family member, right? And he wrote me back. He wrote me back and was like, "Just watch the movie. Just watch the movie.
Just shut up and watch the movie." Yeah.
But I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
The script is
yeah,
paramount in this. Everything ties together so beautifully, and as soon as I thought I was one step ahead, the movie would jag the other direction. So it's great. It's just fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I brought my friend Cole. He's been starting to come see more movies with me.
Is he your roommate, like the one that lives with you?
No,
okay.
He's not. He lives nearby, but he is such an asshole. He left 15 minutes in because the movie had subtitles, and I didn't tell him ahead of time.
He wasn't prepared. He was
and I'm
not
like,
prepared.
All right, like you're lost, man. You won't watch a movie with subtitles. You're missing out on like literally hundreds and thousands of amazing movies.
And just like I'll never forget what Guillermo del Toro said when he won the Oscar for Shape of Water, or no, he said, "You know what? If you let something as small as subtitles, like
1 inch barrier,
the 1 inch barrier, like just such a good,
the way he put it was just perfect." So yeah, man, I really liked it. I think it's fantastic.
Good.
And
What'd
I'm
you
so
give
glad
it?
it came back. 4 stars.
4 stars. Oh, that's what I give it
4.5.
So,
it probably should be 4.5.
Okay. Well, let's jump in to the best movie of the week, the best movie ever made, the best DC, Marvel, whatever. Comic book movie. Anyways, Blue Beetle. The new movie, new superhero film from DC Comics. It is about Hami, which is Jamie. You would look at it and say Jamie, but it's Jaime or Jaime. I think
that sounds right.
Jaime Reyes, and he plays Blue. He is the Blue Beetle. He doesn't play the Blue Beetle, but he is the Blue Beetle in the movie. He is played by Xolo Maridueña, who a lot of people will know from Cobra Kai.
He's been in it since season 1, right?
Yeah, he is the lead, or he's been in it. He was also in Parenthood. So he's been a TV actor up until now. I watched a video this morning of him when the director told him he got the role, and he was crying and he was calling his mom, who only speaks Spanish, and his mom was like so excited.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So it also stars couple other Hispanic, Spanish, Mexican actors. Adriana Gonzalez, Damian Alcazar, Raul Max Trujillo, George Lopez, and Susan Sarandon rounds out the cast. This movie is basically about a young boy played by Zolo Maraduana from what was I just saying? What is he from? Cobra Kai. Yeah, so he's the lead, and he is he kind of makes friends with this girl, and he's gonna get this job from this girl, and she sees him and she gives him a package, and she says, "Don't open it." And of course, he opens it, and it is this scarab-looking hieroglyphic kind of thing, and it comes alive and it goes into him and turns him into a superhero. So we have this new superhero, the Blue Beetle. This was originally supposed to be on HBO Max. This is a streaming movie,
but in 2018, right?
Yeah, 2021.
Oh, okay.
That's when it's supposed to be released. It didn't. It started filming in 2018.
That's right.
So it was searching. It was going to be a streaming movie, and then they decided they started to do more work on it. It didn't get done being filmed until 2022.
Yeah, I think I heard someone say that results of test screenings were real positive, so they decided to actually put it in the theater.
Yes. So, yes. Anyways, Blue Beetle. What can I say? I'm going to be as not negative as I can be. This movie apparently only cost like $120 million,
which is respectable, and more studios should do it, because this won't be as much of a financial risk as something like Shazam 2 or whatever.
Yes,
or The Flash.
They've already made $43 million, and you know what I gotta say? If the Latino community is liking this, I'm very happy that they.
Yeah, I want to say that too. I'm glad to see them get their hero.
Yes.
And hopefully people can see this and see themselves in it, because it's nice to see yourself on screen.
For sure.
That's cool.
This movie has a really, really, really weak script, in my opinion. The script is weak. Anything involving superhero is just something we have seen before.
Man, have we seen it. So I thought you loved this movie, and I was about to argue with you, because I just couldn't get into this at all. There's some emotional beats that work. They go for some family stuff and drama, and that goes a little deeper than Ant-Man and the Wasp does,
Okay.
And so that was kind of nice. And
Maybe.
I like seeing the Mexican, or let's say Latino angle, because here in North America, Latinos are known for working really hard, being big on having family, togetherness, and they're cool people. And so I think they portrayed them pretty well. But there was a few moments where I thought, man, I don't know, maybe that went too far. If I was Mexican or from Spain or something.
Thought that too.
Yeah, like the Mexican horn, or just a few jokes where it was like, this might be like a little too on the nose for.
Yeah, I was like, I mean.
But who am I to judge? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, you know what, if there's a Mexican or a Latino family watching this, and something's happened where they laughed and I was kind of turned off by it, then I'm very happy that worked for them, right? But a lot of it felt kind of like at what point is this a stereotype, and right. At what point does the Latino community want something a little bit better?
Yeah, right? They've been trying to fight this kind of stuff forever.
Yeah, and if it's a stereotype, but if I mean, stereotypes are often true, right?
Yeah, they're rooted in some kind of truth. Yeah,
some sort of truth. Yes, is what I'm trying to say.
It came from somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing, is I don't even need to really tell you what happens in this story. I told you he becomes a superhero, and that's really the whole fucking movie.
Oh my god!
All of a sudden, he's a superhero, and
something I noticed is they get these crazy cool suits and powers and can throw energy weapons, and They end up resulting in fist fighting, punching each
Yeah.
other. And it's
Yeah,
like you have all
and
these guns and knives, and it's like, I'm gonna
yeah.
get you, slam.
And
Because
the fights between him and K-Pax, was that the guy's name?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, something like that is this bad guy's name. And of course, he goes toe to toe with somebody who is the exact same powers as him. So it's like an equal fight, right? It's never like
Yeah.
someone going toe to toe with someone who's weaker or like it was just like the same person fighting the same person, and it was just so like I could have honestly, it's funny that this movie to me could have shown me a scene and I could have written the next scene and got it right. I knew what was coming every step of the way, and it wasn't fun. George Lopez, at first I saw him and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so happy to see George Lopez.
I didn't even recognize him. The makeup was good.
And then 25 minutes in, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm really sick of George Lopez," because they were just feeding him jokes that just were not funny.
Yeah, and he just does a thing like, "Hey, cabron, what's wrong with your cabeza?"
Yeah, exactly.
They just the lowest of the low Spanish jokes, which is kind of his shtick, or was.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it was just cringy though. It just felt cringy and
the first, I texted you this. I don't know if our listeners would notice this, but I couldn't believe it. The first maybe 10 full minutes is like 80% ADR, automated dialogue replacement, where, if you can't see their actors' lips moving, then they added that audio in later. And once you start to notice it, it's impossible to not notice it. I wish I didn't notice it, but it just shows that they didn't have control. They made tons of edits and cuts and weren't happy. And it's just exposition dump. Hi, I'm Anthony. My dad died when I was 12. I love my mom and my daughter, and she works at this place, which will happen to have an impact later. I did like some of the music. It was like millennially,
I guess,
electronic.
Okay.
Some of it was okay. The opening scene, the opening credits, I like that music.
The suit
Okay.
just seemed to work.
Overpowered.
Well, the suit just seemed to be like whatever the story needed it to do.
Yes, at the time,
so at the beginning, when he can't control it, he's like, "Oh, dude, stop, no!" And it's like, "Oh, I am calibrating. Sorry." And he's like, "No, please stop." And then later on, when he actually needs it to work, it doesn't work, it's rebooting, and then it was just like the logistics of everything. And then all of a sudden, George Lopez's character, who I don't even know what, he lives on this family's couch, but apparently he knows how to run all of this tech. Later on, he's flying this spaceship.
That's right.
Like this Blue Beetle spaceship looking thing, and he's like, "Oh, I know this," and he just like clicks a bunch of buttons and he knows it, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? It's so dumb.
I liked this movie when it was called Upgrade. Boom.
Yeah, sure, yes, a little more gritty. If you guys
haven't heard of or seen Upgrade, it's fantastic. It's a shot on a shoestring budget. It's very similar to this. This guy gets this tech that kind of gives you, but it's realistic. It just makes you just a little stronger. It's like an exosuit, or it's something in your brain. It's awesome. The movie Upgrade is so good, and it was so underseen. And this movie felt very much like it.
Maybe if this movie came out 20 years ago, I'd be like, wow, this is
but for
cool.
this to be in the same year as The Flash and Shazam and Quantumania, I really had like I wouldn't say an existential crisis, but I had a moment in the theater where I was like, man, I am really tired of superhero movies.
I almost walked out because I had my 6-year-old with me. He's almost 7, and he was bored.
Was he really?
He was so bored.
Because I thought maybe like under 10 would love this.
Yeah, he was
but maybe not.
Well, and he's not. My older one might have been more into it because my youngest isn't that into the action and the fighting and stuff. He was actually into more of the family drama. He was kind of interested. Like when the dad died, he was kind of like, really. Oh, I just gave a spoiler. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but
he like coughs. He's like, "I'll be okay, son." Cough, cough, cough. Like, okay, he's dead right away. It's bad. It's really, really bad. It's so generic. It's just generic. I'm mad. They don't give
I
a
am
shit.
mad.
They don't care. They're like, they have a formula, and it has to have this, 2.5 women characters, 1.5 people of color, and it'll make this much. It's so cynical, and there's not an original thought in this whole fucking movie. Fuck this movie. I hate it.
Fuck this movie. I hate it. There is not an original thought in this movie.
I'm glad you got me there because I wasn't that mad
echo
at it
your
until
thoughts
just right now.
No,
This is just stupid.
Like, and then the product placement. Oh my god, the Tacoma, the Tacoma truck. The whole time.
I didn't even notice those this time. I didn't even notice those.
There was,
it's bad because it's not horrible. Like it's like,
yes,
it would be better if it was really shitty, but it's just so forgettable.
It's like a McDonald's burger. You eat it because you're hungry, but like it's not good. You're not going, oh my god, this is amazing. You're going, yeah, well now I'm full and I'm probably gonna shit it out in 10 minutes. Yep,
and had the most calories per unit volume.
Like Susan Sarandon is walking around like a zombie in this movie. She is like cashing a paycheck. Poor girl. Like she is just like she's like
she's your typical one-dimensional villain. She is only there to be hated. She has no character interiority, cares about anything else. She just is Miss Businesswoman, and all she cares about is the bottom line. And that this might kill him, whatever. Sacrifices have to be made. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb. There's not
for the greater good. The dialogue is just so bad. And see, and then there's times when like the dialogue is like you're like, oh okay, because it's the guy from Cobra Kai and the girl Bruna Marquezin who plays Jenny. I thought they were both really good.
Me too.
So there's times where the dialogue you're like, oh okay, and then it just is more generic bullshit. And then there's this whole history with Jenny's dad, who apparently was the Blue Beetle like in the 80s or something, and like Uncle Rudy knows all about him, but like they never get into any of that. We have no fucking clue who he is or what he did. Not even a flashback. Like you think they would at least be like, oh, this was my dad, and it was just nothing. They just showed his suits.
You're right.
And it's like, okay, so like did he
build his tech? Did he sell it? Is he famous because
Does he know Batman? Like, was he a hero? Did he do things? Or, like, what the fuck? Is this a stupid history?
And speaking of Batman, gets a name drop in the movie at some point. He's like, somebody says, yeah, remember Mario Lopez is fixing something, and our lead says, like, well, wait, why don't we call Batman? And
Batman is a fascist.
And a fascist. Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, no.
Cool.
This movie is just, it's really bad. It's just.
I'll say I'm surprised though. I think it has a somewhat decent score. I talked to everyone.
76%.
Yeah, I talked to everyone that came out of the theater seeing it today and asked them, and that was only a few because it hasn't made that much money. It's the lowest DC movie ever. James Gunn couldn't be here at a better time because they've had a string of flops like this.
Yeah, this year has been really bad for DC.
But yeah, some people do like it, and you know what? Don't let us take that away from you. If you loved it, we're hoping we did. That's a bummer, but it just didn't hit me right.
The first act, the sister just annoyed the shit out of me. She keeps making stupid jokes.
Yeah.
She's talking about going into the bathroom and taking a dump and everything, and it's like supposed to be really funny.
Right. It's like, oh, hilarious.
I realized I recognized her from Hocus Pocus too. She was there's a whole like subplot with this Nana. Yeah,
the grandma shows up with the giant gun. Like, Grandma, how do you know how to hold a gun like that?
In a better movie, that would have been fun.
Yeah,
but in this, I was just rolling my eyes.
It's just there for people to go, what? A grandma wouldn't know how to hold a crazy gun like that.
Oh my god, Grandma. Do you wanna what'd you give it?
I haven't rated it yet because I just got back from it. I'll probably give it 1 star.
That's what I gave it. I gave it 1 star. I think I bumped it up from half a star just because of the two lead performances.
Yeah, I was gonna give them credit too.
and
They were good.
yeah, there's some decent CGI. I mean, if I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you're right. The CGI isn't terrible.
no, I didn't really notice any parts where I was like, oh, like the Flash when there was bad CGI, right? And this
Yeah.
one, someone said to me like, why were you so hard on it? And I said, if this came out before Black Adam and Shazam, I might
Right.
have been a little bit easier, but I have now even gone back and lowered my ratings on Black Adam and Shazam just because I knew I was higher on those because it was the beginning of summer. Oh, this is fun. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can't tell you a single scene that happened in Black Adam.
And if this movie came out in the time of Daredevil or like the original Hulk,
Oh my god.
then then it would be something different, and maybe it's kind of unique and interesting. But with putting it in the comic book movie landscape today after Endgame,
I don't
it's
know
just
why
boring.
I don't know why you even make this movie.
I know. I wonder that too. Apparently, this character has been around since the like early 20s or so.
Okay.
Really, really old character in
I
the
did see that
comics.
like okay. Yeah, and then but it recently became big again in like 2003 or
Yes.
something with a comic rerun I saw.
Yeah, and apparently it is a popular comic seller,
Mhm.
so that's why they
Mhm.
must have been like, well, let's do this one next.
Mhm. Yeah.
But no, not good, really not. And even the technology, the device, it's like it just doesn't make any sense. Like all of a sudden from your own body comes out all this metal and guns and arsenal, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, where was all that stuff beforehand?
Yeah. And then
So
he's
yeah,
yeah.
not good, not good. I did not like this movie. I hope to see it go away soon.
What did I text you? I texted you during the movie, and I said, "My son and I are an hour into Blue Beetle, and I regret coming, and I want to leave."
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And so a little while later, I said to my son, I was like, "Can we go?" Like I was just gonna go, and then but the part happened where like the lead and the girl almost kissed.
Oh
And
yeah.
he wanted to see if they would kiss later. He was all into the romance. And I was like, okay, fine. And then it got near the end and like, we kind of knew like everything like gonna save the day, whatever. And I was like, okay, do you want to go now? He's like, no, this is the good part. He was more into the family drama than he was to any action.
Good. I'm glad a human got enjoyment out of this.
Yeah, but overall, he didn't like. He was asking me to leave after the first hour, and that was when I was like, "No, let's give it a little more time." I should have just said, "Yeah, let's go." But
Yeah. Yep. It's too bad.
so that's everything. That is everything we've seen. I'm gonna go into what is coming out. Hold on here.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Little black box of movies. I have to watch that still, so sorry.
Which one was? Oh, that was
The Third Man.
The Third Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know when you watch it, and I'll try and
I'm
help
halfway
you by I'll
through
watch
it.
it.
I'm halfway through it.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting so far. I'm really enjoying it. Diana Vandekamp told me to watch that, but
Oh,
I was gonna try to get to watch it before we recorded today, but I had to go on a train ride, and then I had to go on I had to record another podcast. So here are some movies you can currently watch on streaming. Cocaine Bear is on Prime. So I enjoyed Cocaine Bear for what it was. It's a good
Same.
3.5 star movie. So if you like a little horror with your comedy, jump on Cocaine Bear, one of Ray Liotta's last performances.
Yeah.
The Pope's Exorcist is on Netflix.
Oh, yes.
Now, that's a fun little movie, I think.
I do too. Russell Crowe makes that movie.
He does. Actually, Russell Crowe gives a really good performance in a movie where he didn't need to. And I've had a couple of friends who've watched it in the Cinematics Facebook group, and they've really enjoyed it. So It's on Netflix now. You could do a lot worse. There's a new animated Netflix film called The Monkey King on Netflix now as well. It came out the 18th. There's 2 animated Netflix movies I gotta watch now. but I will get around to it. And then also that came out on the 18th was a new Shudder original called Bad Things.
Oh,
It's
yes, I added this to Plex if you are interested.
okay, I am, because it's about a haunted hotel. Some people said there were like Shining vibes, so I might give it a shot. And one of Ant and I's favorites, To Catch a
Yeah.
Killer, is now on Hulu. Please watch this movie, To Catch a Killer. It's Shailene Woodley
Shailene
and
Woodley.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes.
And it is like a cop procedural drama kind of thing.
Starts out with a horrific mass shooting.
Yes.
And it's just done well. It's just
very well done.
It's an example of these done well, whereas
Yes,
Blue Beetle is an example of a
it
comic
has
movie done bad.
it has Seven vibes to me, like Seven, mixed with like Silence of the Lambs a little bit in there, because like you got the female FBI agent. Anyways, and then August 22nd, Ahsoka season 1 starts, and that's going to be a weekly, obviously. Some people are excited about that. I am still waiting to catch up on that because I want to finish Clone Wars and kind of know who Ahsoka is a little bit better before I watch it. And then August 31st, the live action TV show about the anime One Piece. One Piece.
I didn't know they're making a live action.
Yeah, I didn't know until a few weeks ago when I started to see some promo footage, like not. So that'll be on Netflix, and it is going to drop all 8 episodes right away. So you can binge it. One Piece, the TV show, live action. I'm sure there's some people who are excited for that.
Definitely.
Before I get into what's coming to theaters, can you do the box office?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, with us, with it being Sunday, we have the estimates in for this weekend, and Blue Beetle, of course, was number 1, or just barely above Barbie's 4th week. But it came in with 25 million domestic, which is lower than everything else DC's done, which is really sad because like Shazam 2 was a really bad opening. Flash was a terrible opening. And this is even below all of those. I mean, it's funny now, like looking back, Black Adam opened to 55 million and people were like, oh, that's not that great. Yikes. And now we have one that's half that. Again, this is budgeted modestly, so it might end up okay. But so yeah, Blue Beetle came in number 1 at 25 million. Barbie is still chugging along, 21.5 million. And we had I had a 50-person screening of Barbie on Saturday at noon, and then a 55-person at 4 o'clock right after it. So still lots of people coming to see it.
I'm so happy you're back at a theater and you can kind of give me.
Me too. It feels good to just be around. And I asked people what they've seen, what they like recently, and it's just fun to hear the stories of, oh, this is my first time in the theater since COVID, and my mind just explodes.
I know. Well, they say Barbie. There was a report that said 1 in 4 people. Barbie was their first time back in theaters since COVID.
That's crazy.
1 in 4 people.
Since COVID, that was years ago.
Yeah. That was 3 years.
That means they've missed so many.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was number 3 at 10.6. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in its 2nd week, right?
Yeah.
At 8.4 million, and Strays, that R-rated dog comedy, which I'll probably see tomorrow. Yeah. That came in at 8.3, which isn't great, but it's an R-rated animated adult movie. So
it's got a $46 million budget. That seems pretty high, but I
think its cast is pretty deep.
You gotta think. This is something I've always wondered, right? You see those movies like that, right? They probably are giving Will Ferrell at least 8 to 10 million.
I was gonna say 10. Yep, I bet that's what his cost is for this,
right? And then Jamie Foxx is probably taking a couple million, right? If he's taking a lesser role. It's just I always think of the actors and what they're taking, like Harrison Ford, to bring him back to Indiana, they probably gave him 50 million.
And same with Star Wars. I bet to bring him back to Star Wars must have cost him a ton. And you're right. So that's how those budgets climb. And then you can't hate on them for saying yes. Someone comes to you and says, hey, you want to do this thing you've done years ago? And
exactly.
Here's
because they're saying, okay, we want to do another indie, but we can't do another indie unless we have indie.
Mhm.
So, okay, indie, what are you going to charge us, right?
Yep.
And Harrison Ford saying, well, I mean, I want it to be worth my while. I'm not going back for anything less than 40 million. And they're
Yep.
like, okay, well, that's
Yeah,
like
I mean, yeah, the negotiating power's in their corner because he's probably riding his boat around Spain and has no reason to
right?
return to the U.S. for another 3 months
Yeah.
until his grandson graduates. So it's like, give me back, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's the top 5: Blue Beetle, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Teenage, and then Strays.
Yeah. So obviously we did things a little differently this week because you get last weekend's box office and this weekend's box office in one episode. And then so we if we do another episode later on in the week, if we've seen enough, maybe we'll jump on and do an hour, 45 minutes or whatever, and
Yeah.
just kind of talk about what we've seen. Coming to theaters, so obviously this week was Blue Beetle, Strays, and Back on the Strip with it, which is a Tiffany Haddish
Yeah, Vegas comedy.
Vegas comedy. So I don't know much about that. Coming out this weekend, finally, Gran Turismo is
It's
coming.
real release date, yeah.
It has had several release dates. It's been it was pushed, and then it had some, what do you call, pre-screenings like this week
Yep.
and last week. So, but it is finally coming out on the 25th. That is the true story of a kid who played the game and then won basically he could
To compete in the real Grand Tour,
compete. Yeah. Golda.
Yeah, I've kind of got my
Focuses.
eye out for this one. It's Helen
Me
Mirren.
too. Helen Mirren is actually like unrecognizable in this movie. She focuses on the intensely dramatic and high stakes responsibilities and decisions that Golda Meir, also known as the Iron Lady of Israel, faced during the Yom Kippur
Oh,
War.
yes. I saw a trailer for this.
Yeah,
This looks
me
good.
too. Me too.
She looks like she's a you know, what they would call like the president of the United States is the chief in command of the army, and she looks badass. Like
Yeah. It looks really, really interesting, and I love Helen Mirren. And I was just kind of watching this movie, and I was like, "Oh, this is this is some foreign film. This is cool." Like, and then it was her, but she's surrounded by like all the other actors in this movie are people I've never heard of, like Zed Joseph and Claudette Williams, Emma Davis, Rodham Keenan. I don't know, so could be really good. But anyways. Jurassic Park is coming back to theaters for its 30th anniversary in 3D. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah is the Adam Sandler movie I was talking about earlier in the episode,
Right.
which was actually 2 days ago. And so that'll be in theaters, and then it's going to be on Netflix, I think, the week after. A Liam Neeson movie called Retribution is coming out, and then
which is so funny because it's like I swear he's already made a Retribution movie.
yeah, I know, right? All I have here is Bottoms, the Bottoms movie coming out, and beside it I just have Lesbian.
Yeah, which it is. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, apparently it's a lesbian sex positive comedy.
Yes.
That is supposed to be, you know, like we've had a lot of like kind of R-rated sexual comedies this year, so maybe this one will be good as well.
I think this has the is this Shiva Baby, the girl in, or is that the one I just saw? It's theater
Emma Seligman. Yep.
I think
Shiva Baby. Yep.
Okay.
The director of Shiva Baby is making this.
Yes.
Bottoms, and it's got it has Ayo Edebiri, who is also in theater camp. So
yeah.
And the Bear. So and then The Retirement Plan is the only other one. It's another Nicolas Cage with Ron Perlman, Ashley Greene. I don't know, Jackie Earl Haley. I don't know anything about it, but that's Ashley and her young daughter Sarah must seek out Ashley's estranged father Matt for help when they wind up in the middle of a criminal enterprise that threatens their lives. He is living the life of a retired beach bum in the Cayman Islands. Anyways, you know.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. All of our links are down below. Sorry for the late episode, but you're welcome for the early episode.
Yep.
So we will be back. shortly. So yeah,
later this week.
Yeah, this is a 2.5 hour episode, but you know what? We got a lot of content, right?
Yeah, we did.
And like I said earlier, this will be up on YouTube almost the same time as the episode is put out on Spotify and everything. So check us out on YouTube if you'd rather watch our ugly faces. Anyways, all right. Thank you everyone for listening. Ant, thank you.
Thanks, Mitch.
For the double record, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Hollywood Persona podcast. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The Hollywood Persona. Feel free to email the show at thehollywoodpersona@gmail.com and make sure to rate, share, and follow on whatever platform you're listening to our show on. It's the little things that help. Thank you.
And you little shithead, you're staying here.